when you are defeated before you even turn the mic on by a headset cord. You know, I'm just over here struggling with it like it's the greatest challenge I've ever faced in my life to get a headset cord off the armrest of a chair. Like it's trying to figure out some quantum formula.
Hey, you persevered and you beat that cord. You did. You won, okay? You won. And because you were so successful, you made sure everyone else knew about it because no one would have known. Well, yeah. They would have. I mean, they would have seen it. Yeah, yeah.
Hey, I have a question for you, Zoe. Am I doing my job right when I get not one, not two, but 3 different posts and emails yesterday calling me a shock jock? Does that mean I'm doing my job poorly or correctly?
Way to go, man.
I genuinely don't know because. And anybody who knows me personally, like in real life, right? Anybody who knows me personally in real life, I think will tell you that I'm very much not a shock jock. That to some degree, I'm actually anti-shock. I'm going to figure this out while I keep talking. I'm actually anti-shock jock. Like I stay away. No, I'm not. From the concept, those of you on the stream, hang on. I'm going to fix the camera in just a minute. I stay...
Would you like me to do it? I mean, I can. That's kind of what I do. I'm here to. Don't. I was gonna say, don't use that. Don't use that pen either. That will not. It's weighted the wrong way.
No, it's not.
Now you're just gonna prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
Take that.
You have proved me the wrong. Yeah.
Take that. Anybody who knows me personally will tell you that. All right, whatever. I'm just leaving it for now. That I'm not a shock jock. In fact, I'm quite anti shock jock. Like I stay away. I complain actively about riding the Hot Take Express. Like I don't like the Hot Take Express. I think frankly it's. I mean, I get the premise behind it. I get what people are going for. I get why it's successful.
Were you accosted by Clemson fans? were you?
Yes is the answer. Yes is the answer. I got to tell you guys, and I say this with all due respect. I got an email. In fact, I'll read you one of them. I'll read you the tweet that I got last night from at RC Sports Cards on Twitter, who said, "You're a shock jock who uses cheap clicks to get people up in arms. You have a vested interest with South Carolina with your girlfriend and future bride. You wasn't here when Clemson hired Dabo, and may you inform the smart one, Zoe, Brent Venables was not part of that hire. Dabo made Venables like Russ made Zoe," end quote. So he gave us the old double Doug takedown on the Twitter.
Wow, there's so many things to address here, including the wasn't, which was not proper. But I mean, it's not a good sentence there. At least I don't believe. You're the haughty intellectual, and you know, far be it from me to correct someone's grammar when I can't speak well myself. As far as Russ making me, you're right. You're right. I made a name for myself on that program. I did, but I have went on to bigger and better things, and I'm an award-winning producer. I just want to point that out multiple times.
Here's what I'll say. I'm not going to take the guy down because he in a fury of rage and anger,
probably
banging on the type board, made a mistake in grammar, whatever. I do it literally all the time.
I would love to see where this came from because it sure does sound like someone I know. And if so, I would have to respond in kind in other ways.
Here's what I'll say to this individual. To the guy who emailed me yesterday. I do not have his email in front of me, but he called me a shock jock as well. For what I said on Mark Ryan's show, right? Yesterday, I was sitting in and producing Offsides.
Wait. You were accused of being a shock jock
on Mark.
To the show, but man, you got to stand out to do it on that program.
To set up the conversation yesterday, obviously, we went into the show talking about the fact that Clemson had a very busy 24 hours, right? Brent Venables leaves for Oklahoma. Tony Elliott interviews with Duke. Dan Radakovich leaves the AD's office to go do the same thing at Miami. Within 24 hours, Miami has fired Manny Diaz. And while all this is happening, Dabo's in Las Vegas wearing Raiders gear, chucking it up with Mark Davis on the sideline. The only NFL franchise without a head coach, without a permanent head coach right now. And I said, hey, look, this does not mean that the end is nigh for Clemson. It does not mean that, okay? Dabo's put together really good coaching staffs. Dabo brought Brent in.
My faithful.
Dabo's going the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as Clemson knows it. But it's not that, okay?
They don't feel fine either.
It's not that. It's not the end of the world as you know it. It might be, right? It might be, but it also might not be. And I said that. But then Mark Ryan asked the question on his show. And he said, what is the current level of panic right now? What is the current level of panic for Clemson fans? What's the current level of panic? And he asked me to set it up. And I said, the 4 options were, Alonzo, there's no panic. Dabo's done it before. He'll do it again. There's a little panic. Who knows what happens? I'm quite panicked. Yikes. Or it's nuclear levels of panic. Clemson. And I asked Clemson fans to answer this for us, right? And
you should have asked them to answer honestly.
I guess I needed to clarify.
Yeah.
What fired people up when I asked this, what fired people up about this was the first 50 votes that came in within a half hour of putting this poll up. Of the first 50 votes, 43 of them were no panic. There's no panic. And I said, with all due respect, you're lying to yourself or me. Which one is it? You can't tell me you lost your DC. Your OC's got a foot out the door. Your head coach is flirting with the only NFL team that doesn't have a head coach in charge, and your AD's out the door. 2 of your 4 pillars are gone. 1 of your 4 pillars is shaky, and the other one's sitting on an NFL sideline yucking it up with the owner. Don't tell me there's no panic about this, right? Don't tell me there's no panic. 2 of the 4 pillars have fallen. 1 is shaky. The other one's wearing an NFL jacket. Don't tell me there's no panic. And I got, oh boy, howdy, did I get an email. I got an email. And you always know that it's going to be a fair, unbiased, definitely not optimistic take when the email is signed off Tiger Man Steve. You know, you can trust a guy who calls himself Tiger Man to just have the most neutral, level-headed take about Clemson. And I'm not bashing Clemson with this, because when I was talking junk about South Carolina, I got an email from Gamecock Steve. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure this will be an unbiased level take on the situation. There's that. The problem here is a guy like Tiger Man, whatever his name was, again, I don't have the email in front of me, or RC Sports Cards on Twitter, or Gamecock Steve. The problem with guys, and I've realized this, is that you look through the world of college sports, of college football, with your orange tinted glasses or your garnet tinted glasses so long that you forget you have them on. You ever walked into a room, you ever been outside with your sunglasses on? You ever walked out with your sunglasses on and you have them on all day to the point you forget you're wearing them, and then you walk into a dark room and you're like, golly, why is it so dark in here? And then remember your sunglasses are on? No, just me? Okay, well, I'm an idiot, so it happens.
Well, some of us celebrities, we have to wear them all the time.
Just
because,
They're hater shades, man.
Yeah.
Hater shades. I got to block the haters.
Don't want to make eye contact. I mean, come on.
So this has happened for me, right? This has happened for me. This is a thing that has happened because I'm dumb. I know that. And you walk in and you're looking around and you're like, why is it so dark in here? And you have a problem seeing around the room because you've had the sunglasses on obscuring your vision so long you forget that they're there and you just assume everybody else has the same vision that you do. That's not how it works. See, a person with a level head who's outside the program, and I'm going to get the other half of his tweet in just a second. A person outside the program who is neutral to your program. How many times have I told you? I've said it a million. I'll say it a million more. It is the Ric Flair take on this radio show. When Clemson is good, what happens to Rob and Lonzo? We go full MJF, baby. We got money, right? Full Ric Flair. We got money when they're good. And South Carolina and the Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes and the Greenville Triumph and the Greenville Drive and the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. When these teams are good, we make more money. It's pretty awesome for us. All right? How you think we afford our personal jets, man? How you think Lonzo's rolling his Bentley up to the studio every day? It's because those teams are good and we make money. That being said, it is also part of the gig for us to analyze what's going on in these programs when they're, not accomplishing what they're supposed to be accomplishing. Now, Clemson had a year that a lot of people would like to have, all right? Duke would love to have the season Clemson had. But it is not up to the standard that the program has set over the past 6 or 7 years. That's just a fact. But when you are so ingrained that you refer to yourself as an adult male as Tiger Man to your friends, right?
Could be a fan of Tiger King. I mean,
maybe he's a big Joe Exotic guy.
Could be.
Sure. Big fan of Shere Khan, of Tony V. Who knows? But I got a sneaky suspicion. Not a lot of Joe Exotic fans hit me with the email for hot takes, What I said yesterday about your show, about your team on Mark's show. When I said, if you tell me there's zero panic about what's going on, I didn't say you have to be out there holding a sign in front of Clemson's athletic department that says the end is near. I said, you ought to be a little concerned.
Quick, tweet out, I love my Tigers.
Yeah.
Like people thought you didn't anymore.
You know what that guy would say? You know what that guy would say if I put out there, I love Clemson? He'd go, you're a liar. That's not good enough. Right? Now, the second part of that, where he hit me with, you have a vested interest in South Carolina because of your girlfriend and future bride. My girlfriend has no editorial control over what I say or do on this show. To the point that she's been mad at me before because of it, as a Gamecock fan. Hey, I thought you were a little mean to blank, Shane, Jason, whoever. Do I want her football team to do well? Of course I do. Of course I do. Because A, again, if her football team does well, I get more money. And B, yeah, turns out I like her a little bit. I'd like her to enjoy her football season like I enjoy mine. Right? Of course I want her team to be good. But her team and me, my personal feelings, have nothing to do with what gets said on the air about South Carolina or about Clemson. All right? I would argue that, Lonzo, this station's been on the air for how many years?
7, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. I've lost track.
Of that 7 years, 7-ish years, what franchise, what program in the area would you say has been responsible for the most dollars coming in? I've only been here for not even 2 of them, but I got a sneaky suspicion. What program or franchise in this area would you say has been responsible for most of the dollars coming into the station?
Got to say, the Lonzo franchise has been responsible for the most amount of money.
What football brand would you say has been responsible?
I'm not going to say that name.
It's Clemson. All right? It's Clemson. It is better for me if you're good. So when I talk about your team, it's very much me just saying, here's what's going wrong. Here's what you guys need to be aware of. And occasionally, here's what I think you ought to do to fix it. Your AD has left. Your defensive coordinator, who, by the way, even you guys have told me has been the biggest key to Dabo's success is gone. Your offensive coordinator is interviewing for other jobs. And again, just so we're clear, and I mentioned this yesterday, and a lot of people wanted to point out to me, and this is fair, and I said this on the show, but see, you tuned it out because you wanted a reason to be mad at me when you know I'm right. Okay?
If you're not concerned with Rob, you wouldn't be sending these emails, or not concerned about Clemson. You would just be saying, bless his heart, he's special, and you'd just move on. But the fact that you're so up in arms means you know that it's true.
Yeah, it's a little close to home because I'm right. To say there's none, zero concern about Clemson, you are lying is what you're doing. If you are looking at what's going on right now at Clemson and you are like, hey, no big deal, we're coming right back for the ACC next year. I'm not saying you're not. You understand? You can be concerned about something that never comes to pass. You can be concerned about something that doesn't happen. I am concerned about the possibility of a gamma ray burst from the sun wiping out every electronic device on planet Earth and sending us back to the Bronze Age.
You need to be more concerned about asteroids. Look up DART later.
You actually don't, but we can get into a weird science conversation
No,
if
you
you
need
about
to
this.
look up DART.
Okay. Now you've given me a
Trust me. Trust me.
a science reader. The point is, am I worried about a gamma ray burst or a giant asteroid? Yes. Of course I'm concerned about it. Is there a likelihood that it happens? Not really. Right? You can and should be concerned about what's going on with Clemson right now. Rob, why did you spend so much time talking about it? Because South Carolina's biggest thing right now is Satterfield coming back and which QB starts the bowl game. Do you understand how much less of a problem that is for them than what you have going on in Clemson? And again, maybe, possibly, hell, I might even say probably, I trust Dabo Swinney to navigate very treacherous waters. The guy's done it before. But this is the biggest obstacle of his entire coaching career. You understand? The biggest hurdle of his entire career is his AD walking out, his DC walking out, his OC interviewing for other jobs with a foot out the door, and a decision right in front of him. Because I promise you, Mark Davis was flirting with him at the game. I promise you that Mark Davis walked over and said, hey, man, just saying, you could be here. We got a bunch of your guys on the roster. If there's one guy who's going to get Deshaun here, it's you. You'd have a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback the next year. There's nobody better for this job. If he was, let me say this as a statement of fact. Dabo was at the Raiders game because the Raiders were honoring CJ Spiller for his commitment to Raider Nation. That's why he was there. But do you think Mark Davis walked right up to him and went, hey, Coach Swinney, thanks for coming by. Enjoy the ceremony. Okay, bye. And left him alone? They were on the sideline together for the whole game. You don't think Mark maybe just didn't go, hey,
There are also
what you think about Allegiant Stadium, huh,
pictures of them in the box.
Yeah.
Up in the box, and I'm sure he was like, you look pretty good in that silver and black
and
right
silver
there.
suit you there, Dabo. Right? I'm not saying Dabo's going to Las Vegas. Let me say that one more time for the folks in the back.
I am not saying that Dabo Swinney is going to the Raiders.
I'm not saying that. I am saying that if there was a perfect time for him to do it, it's now. This is a perfect time. I set it up for you yesterday. He got a contract for $100 million from Mark Davis, which is more than he's making at Clemson. Not by a lot, but by $7 million. He got a contract for $100 million. And if he sucks and the Raiders decide to part ways with him in 3 years, He'll get $100 million from a college who wants to bring it back to do it again. It is the perfect time for him to go. There is a difference between this is a perfect time for him to go and he will go. Guys, that is not a shock. If you are shocked by this, your passion has gotten in the way of your rationality. If what I said yesterday shocked you to the point that you needed to reach out and tell me that I am a shock jock, then your passion has blocked your ability to see logic about your football program. You should be concerned. It does not mean it's the end of the world, but it doesn't mean it's not the end of the world. And it's a good time, maybe a perfect time for Dabo to jump to the league, but that does not mean that he will. Those are different stances. Let's break down coming up next. My name is Rob. He's Lonzo. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. conversation. All right.
Yeah, they talked to the guys who made Armageddon, and they said, well, see, we weren't far off. So they launched the rocket on the latest SpaceX thing towards the sun.
Okay.
And it's supposed to hook around the sun and come back at like 10,000 miles an hour or something and hit an asteroid called Dimorphos.
Okay.
And this is supposed to be a test. I don't believe it's a test. I think that asteroid is actually coming towards the Earth.
No, I think it's got to be a prep, right? Like, let's just see.
But they're not going to, if it is actually coming, they're not going to say, oh, yeah, by the way, if this is unsuccessful, you're all going to die.
No asteroid larger than 140 meters in size has a significant chance to hit Earth for the next 100 years. Only about 40% of the asteroids have been found as of October 21st. Text lines lighten up, and let's text it to 71307. Start your text with ESPN 71307. Some of the texts we've got on ESPN. Denial isn't just a river in Egypt. Another texter says, yes, Rob, with the shades still on, I hit the light switch, not realizing it was already on to turn on the lights, and everybody in the room's mad at me. LOL. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The shades are on all the time. You start trying to make adjustments, and everybody else is looking at you going, dude, what? No, the lights are on. Stop. Texture says there's got to be 1,000 middle-aged dudes in the upstate that have nicknamed themselves Tiger Man, and he was one of the last to think of it. And probably has tigerman856@aol.com as his email address. That is a better burn than you think it is. ESPN Sean, future wife. Congratulations, Rob. Okay, stop. We are not engaged. All right. We're not engaged. The possibility for that is certainly on the table. All right. She has not thrown me out yet. The point is, while I absolutely do want her to have a good football team, just like I want you guys to have a good football team, because football is more fun when your team doesn't, suck. She does not, nor does anybody. My mama doesn't control editorial content on this show. Lonzo doesn't control the editorial content on this show. All right, a little bit, but not that much. There's one person.
I control my own.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
There are two people in this building. Mark Ryan doesn't have control over content on this show. Diesel doesn't. You guys don't, with all due respect. There are two people that have editorial content control on this show. Big Mark and Steve, the two guys who run the building. That's it. Nobody else has it.
They're both big Iowa fans, I was going to say. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're Big Ten guys. They don't care. Right? Let's see. Leave it to a Clemson fan to complain about a hot take with a hot take. Another texter says, ESPN, those of us Clemson fans around when Danny Ford was let go or whatever really happened. Also remember that breakup in 25 years to recover. Yes, we are panicking about recent Clemson events. There is a rational Clemson fan. Ladies and gentlemen.
And here's the problem with this. Just like a lot of fan bases, the irrational fan base is usually not the one you hear from. It's the other one. And they misrepresent who you are, because there are a lot of really good Clemson fans out there.
Yeah.
But the other ones who choose to put the Tiger in front of their name, and all, those are the vocal ones.
And
those
The most obnoxious fans are the ones who, and I'm not calling any of these people obnoxious. I'm saying the ones that, or let me phrase that, not obnoxious. The most vocal fans are the ones who create the image about you and your university, right? Here, I'll give you an example. You want me to bang on South Carolina? Here you go. I was very disappointed 2 Saturdays ago outside of Willie B when the Clemson Tigers got off the bus to enter the stadium, and there were a few hundred fans that gathered around them. Now, that's fine, all right? I got no problem with the home team gathering their crowd around the bus of the visitors and making a little noise. You should. But when they started chant, bleep Dabo, bleep Dabo, bleep Dabo. Now, I'm not averse to a bad word. Those of you who know me away from the station know I curse like a sailor when I'm not on the air. All right? I don't care. They're just words to me. They have no impact. However, they do impact the image that people have of you. And I'm sitting there watching a couple hundred Gamecock fans chant bleep Dabo as Clemson gets off the bus. It's not a good look. And when the social media world got a hold of that video, you know what they didn't see? They didn't see 77,000 Gamecocks fans in the stadium jumping up and down to Sandstorm and Space Odyssey and waving towels. They didn't see what I think might have been the most There's a reason the SEC Net picked you guys as the game of the night and not Alabama-Auburn, right? Because that stadium was shaking with how loud it was. But that's not what made the rounds on social media. What did was, instead of 77,000 Gamecock fans having a great time and shaking Willie B, what made it around social media was about 350 Gamecock fans chanting bleep Dabo at him when he got off the bus with his team. That's a bad look, South Carolina. It's a bad look. And that's from somebody who's not averse to a curse word. That's a bad look. That is how image is set about your program. The image of your program is set by the fans who are the loudest. Rob, all this Clemson talking, you didn't talk about how the Gamecocks kept the Clemson Tigers to only scoring 30 points. Lonzo did. That was his whole take the next day.
Absolutely. If you're a Clemson fan, you should be ashamed. That's all you can put up on this team. It shows you how far you've fallen. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that again.
This texter goes on to say, I am sure that's what upset them all. I enjoy not being a fan of either team. I enjoy the tag team belt-winning Rob and Lonzo dynamic duo. Keep it up, guys. Woo. Thank you, Joe and Greer. Texter says, Rob, you've made all the Cousins and Anderson mad, and of course they're worried. They just won't admit it. Wow. Another texter says, this is just like all those "this is fine" memes with the fire in the background. Another texter says, hey, Clemson, take it from an FSU fan. There should be concern. Another texter says, the Bills are the Patriots' little brothers and always will be. Another texter says, Gamecock fan, here for it all. Got my popcorn. Hey, get your popcorn ready. As T.O. said, get your popcorn ready. Texter said, imagine if we used whatever we like to do, then imagine if we use whatever we like instead of nicknames. Just call me the relaxing on my couch man. You can call me bourbon drinking man. That's my nickname. Texter says, you need to do an entire show with nothing but angry texters. You know what the problem is? With trying to do an entire show based on the text line? Would you guys send us enough material that we really could? We could do a show where all we do is respond to text. The problem is so many of them are definitely not FCC friendly. I have to read every text you guys sent 3 times before I read it on air, just to make sure I don't slip up and Lonzo doesn't have to punch the dump button.
Which I've done before. I just want to point out that we're well on our way to doing the first hour on angry text. So I mean,
let's see, texter, but that's just it. I pointed that out the day after the blank Dabo videos and tackiness, which you ignored, but let Clemson have an issue. And here comes Rob, and then he makes a dirty name joke about me, insinuating that whatever. I don't care. I mean, cool, good burn. Do me a favor. When you graduate from 3rd grade burns to adult burns, let me know. Then hit me up with the text.
See, I haven't seen the text, but I hope 3rd graders don't talk that way.
No, I you're right. Didn't ignore it that day. I did ignore it that day because I went, hey, there were 77,000 South Carolina fans in the stadium, and there were a couple hundred maybe outside chanting
that. Which is not even 1%, right?
Right. So I'm not.
I ain't good with math, but I'm pretty sure.
I'm not going to dedicate time to 1% of the fans who were jackwagons. I got news for you. I was at Clemson for Clemson FSU. There were some Clemson fans who were acting in a way that even I, a king of debauchery himself, was going, I don't know, man. I don't know. Now, I'm also going to say this about both. I tailgated South Carolina, Clemson. I tailgated South Carolina, Florida. I tailgated Clemson, Florida State. The overwhelming majority of fans that I interacted with at both schools for multiple games were incredible. Here, you want a compliment from my girlfriend who you believe sets the show? As a South Carolina fan, when I told her that I was going to Clemson, Florida State, she said, you'll have a good time. I actually really like tailgating there. I went, and she was spot on. The overwhelming majority of the fans of Clemson, phenomenal people. And then there were a couple, and I'll even go one step further. Same with South Carolina. The overwhelming people at Willie B were incredible. We had a great time. Clemson fans were walking through the tailgate, and the majority, there's a little smack talk here and there, but the majority of it was all in good nature. And the majority of the people who cause a problem, who act that way in a way that sets a bad image for you on social media, the overwhelming majority of them, you know what they were? Freaking college students. I used to be one. Do you know what else a lot of college students are? Idiots. Again, used to be one. Yeah, some people still kind of am.
I was going to say drunk, but yeah, that other word works too.
Idiots. Because I know some drunk people who they're the nicest people in the world, and they would never do anything like that.
They're not the huggy, feely.
Oh, I'm a lover. When you give me a couple of bourbons, I want to hug everybody. Everybody. The overwhelming amount of fans, drunk or not, they don't act that way. But to go back to what we were talking about, the largest group of people for both fan bases are genuinely good people who just love football. The ones who are the loudest, the ones that unfortunately in many cases set the image for your program, it's your responsibility to drown them out, or that becomes your image, right? One more quick story, then I'm out for a break. I went to a game in my little brother's my mom dropped him on his head. He's a Florida Gator fan. Okay. I grew up an LSU fan because all my family is from Louisiana, went to LSU. So I grew up before I went to college as an LSU fan. And so my junior year of high school, I think, sophomore year of high school. Anyway, my parents took me and the little brother to see LSU play at Florida in Gainesville, right? Leaving the stadium, LSU went in there and won. LSU went in there and won that game. And as we're leaving the stadium, the Florida fans the majority of them, totally fine. They're just they're bummed out they lost. LSU won on a Hail Mary. I think it was Devery Henderson maybe or somebody like that. One walking off on a Hail Mary. Majority of the Florida fans, super cool, super chill. And as we're leaving, there's about 3 or 4 of them that start chanting bleep LSU, bleep LSU. And one of them, me being an LSU fan as a kid, I was a teenager, kicks me right in the back of the leg. I mean, right in the back of the knee. I mean, kick, not kind of, you know how you do that thing with your friends where you kind of just tap them in the back of the knee so their leg falls out? No, he kicked me. Almost went down. We had to be escorted out of the stadium because of that. My image of Gainesville, Florida is not a good one because of that one experience. It is your job to drown out those kind of fans so that other people can enjoy and not have that image of your school. So if you're one of the people who hears what these texts are saying and you don't like that, the text line's open for you too. So the phone line's at 844-GSP-ESPN. Texter says, Rob, if I give you some bourbon, can I get a hug? You can have a hug anyway. All right? I'm a hugger. Hug life. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
You are neglecting the stream. I'm just letting you know there are a ton of things on the stream.
Ton of things on the stream. Oh, yeah, there are. All right. Josh says Mighty Morphin. Yeah, man. So my band wears matching T-shirts on stage, right? So we wear the Avengers, the Ninja Turtles, Voltron, the Justice League, just different Ghostbusters. We all wear matching T-shirts based on some pop culture reference to the 80s or 90s that we grew up with, and one of them is the Power Rangers. So I still rock my Black Ranger shirt here and there. Ryan checks in, says I'm ready to talk about the Patriots game. Yeah. Be honest with me. Did anybody really, except Patriots fans, did anybody really enjoy that game last night? Did anybody really enjoy, you watched that and thought, wow, this is a fun football game? Did you? 30-mile-an-hour winds. The Patriots threw the ball 3 times. Punts were going 80 feet. Like, did we really think that was a fun game? Adam says, I love Shock Jock Rob and all the crybaby Tater fans that need a diaper change. Wow, all right. He says, I see Rob as more of a Pink Ranger. Jeremy, our drummer, claimed the Pink Ranger before I could because I absolutely would have gone Kimberly. Absolutely would have gone Kimberly. Maybe my first crush. Amy Jo Johnson, maybe my first crush. I'm trying to think. I think she might have been my first crush. Steven says, I just want to say as a Clemson fan and someone who's listened to Zoe Rad My Tigers for 15 years or so, I love the show and listen to the good and the bad. Also, congratulations to you and your... We are not engaged. We're not engaged. She's a great girlfriend. I love her. We're having an incredible time together. She has not kicked me out yet. Neither of us has out crazied to where the person wants to leave, but we are not engaged yet. All right? Calm down.
In the future, be careful how you read a text. I mean, you should have refuted the text right away, and then you wouldn't have to.
Well, I knew I was going to get to the end and then just stop.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out that type of burn should be left in elementary school because that's the mental capacity it shows. Keegan says, not adverse to a curse word. Sounds like the name of a good comedy album. It really does. Maybe that'll be my first stand-up comedy album. Do you have the stones to try stand-up comedy?
No.
No? I think
improv. A possibility. Would you consider that? No, because you're with a group.
Right, yeah, improv's not really stand-up. I'm talking one guy, one mic.
Because there's an improv group in the area that does improv downtown. They've invited me to come and they do like I know how this sounds, but they do a local celebrity night, and they put the local celebrity on the stage, and then they do a bunch of stuff with that person. And I was invited because I had one of their guys on the show, and he's like, hey, you got to come and do this. And I'm just like, I don't know.
I've never been to an improv show, but I've watched improv sketches, and I prefer stand-up comedy. Just give me a guy or a gal being funny. I prefer stand-up.
See, the problem with stand-up is if you go to stand-up, you could be that person that the stand-up comic decides to go at the entire time. Yeah, but
I love that.
I don't think I could handle that very well.
The only time no, it's not true. I never not loved it. There was a time. So there's a bar back in Fort Walton called The Block, and on Saturday nights they do comedy night where they bring in comedians. And one guy came after me because I was wearing one of my band T-shirts and started making fun of me. And I can't remember what it was, but I reverse Uno carded him and burned him back loudly enough. And the bar laughed at me louder than him. And he asked bar security to make me leave. It's the only time I've ever been kicked out of a bar was because the comedian came after me. I roasted him back and got asked to leave the bar.
I consider that a win for you.
Oh, yeah. It's a crowning achievement. Keegan says, I'm not sure what I missed. I just got here, but the text line is rowdy. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Richie says, some Clemson fans are like the prettiest girl in school. Either the ego is so big that it's just got to be constantly stroked, or so insecure they need constant reinforcement. Either way, it just sucks. Kind of like my team 90 miles south. See, and that is humility in a self-burn. I respect that. A good self-burn is the best kind of burn.
Also, when you've dogged the other team, then you take away their ability to come back at you by burning yourself. I mean, it's
1 for 2 on the week, by the way.
It's all psychology. Upstate Lights in the next break.
10-4.
Shocks.
All right, that's one. I have to give credit to at RC Sports Cards, who is the one who called me a shock jock on Twitter that I read a tweet and responded to it earlier. I have to give credit. All right, I got to give him a little pat on the back, and here's why. I like a guy who can take it in stride and keep having fun. This is the picture he just sent back to me. He literally just sent me back his orange-colored glasses as a picture. You know what? At RC Sports Cards, I know we get at it, but I respect that. I like that. He literally sent me a picture of his orange and purple Oakleys sitting on the front of his car. I respect the hell out of that.
They look kind of expensive. Good for you.
Those are baseball glasses. Like, those are the ones that when you played high school ball, you bought them for too much money and you only wore them for games of practice, nothing else.
Yeah, I didn't like baseball players. They're all preppies.
Fair. Tim Frisbee, our old buddy Tim Frisbee tweets into the show. He says, wrong, Lonzo. There are not a lot of really good Clemson fans out there. There are very few, ... very few. All right. But then he redeemed himself by calling us the Bushwhackers of Sports Talk Radio. And I accept that nickname.
Yeah, because, where's the fish? I mean, come on.
Being the Bushwhackers of Sports Talk Radio. Texters. Oh, by the way, I saw this earlier. What a segue, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so very much. I found this earlier. And this is not a point of shame for me, although some of you take it that way. Sports betting website Vegas Insider recently surveyed over 2,000 college fans across the United States and found that the University of South Carolina's fans are the 15th booziest in the nation. The poll found Gamecocks fans have about 3.3 drinks per game and spend about $30 on booze per game. The nation was led by the University of Nebraska, followed by the University of Minnesota. The Big Ten, the booziest conference.
I don't drink, so I don't know. Drinking make you feel warm?
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, that explains it, doesn't it?
That explains it. Absolutely. It makes you feel warm. And if your team gets beat 30-0 by your rivals, it makes you feel numb. Whichever one is your preference. South Carolina's longtime gridiron rivals, according to Las Vegas Insider, Clemson, weren't listed in the top 25. The poll contacted over 2,000 self-reporting college football fans around the country who are over the age of 21. Half male, half female. The average age of respondents was 31. Only 2 SEC teams finished higher than South Carolina on the booziest list. You want to take a shot at who the teams were? One of them's a given.
See,
You're overthinking it.
Alabama.
That is one of them. You're 1 for 2. Who's the other one? You're overthinking this, though. They're literally known for this.
Yeah, but see, because of it's me, I don't really. Is that an L for LSU?
That is correct. LSU was 4th on the list. Alabama was 9th on the list of booziest college football. Your top 5 were Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin checks in at 3rd, LSU 4. Oh, Virginia Tech with the surprise 5th showing up on the list.
I'm sure Clemson isn't on the list because we know what they do with polls.
Clemson not inside the top 25. USC 6, Kansas, NC State. Wow, I did not know the Wolfpack got down like that. Alabama 9, Illinois 10. So the Big Ten dominating the top 10 rankings here. Duke was 11th. Duke. Maryland, Penn State, Cal, and South Carolina round up the top 15. Kansas State, Arizona, Oregon, Michigan at 19. Florida at 20. Purdue, Iowa State, Georgia, Texas, and Texas A&M. I'm going to go ahead and say that this study is incorrect because I don't believe for a second after having tailgated mini games there when I was working there that Florida State's not in the top 25. Don't believe that for a second. All right. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1. Rob Alonzo and you. It's ESPN Upstate, y'all.
Lights.
The Upstate's favorite holiday tradition is on. It is the 2021 Upstate Holiday Light Show live at the Greenville Pickens Speedway. If you have not gotten the chance to do this before, trust me, pack up the kids, pack up the fam, throw you some hot chocolate in a thermos, grab your favorite Santa hat, and ride on over to the Greenville Pickens Speedway. Take a couple of laps around and watch over 32 million lights. Dance to the sounds of your favorite holiday classics. It's an incredible experience. They've got, what is really cool, one big sheet of lights that covers the entire grandstands that dances to the music. They'll have words scrolling across it and shapes and Santas and tree. It's a very, very cool experience. And if you have not been, trust me, you're going to bring the kids. They are going to love it. 30-minute show. You drive around the track as many times as you want. You can park and watch the lights from the car. Whatever you want to do, you will absolutely love it. Go to upstateholidaylights.com, upstateholidaylights.com. Grab your tickets, grab your fast pass so that you don't have to wait in line. Jump through the line and check out what is not only Upstate's, but soon will be your favorite Upstate Holiday Classic. It's the 2021 Upstate Holiday Light Show.
You have any guests today?
Joe Giglio at 1:30.
Okay.
Talking someday.
Thursday, partial sunshine, high 55. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Ruchitsky on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 49.
This is Graham County Sheriff of Fort Lewis. No upstate child should have Christmas without presents under the tree. Donate a toy during the Leo Santa Toy Drive. Stop by the Bond Secure Wellness Arena in downtown Greenville this Wednesday and Thursday. Our Greenville County law enforcement will be on hand accepting toys and donations. Plus, see special team demonstrations by tactical teams in Arcade County, Florida. Help an underprivileged child this Christmas. For more information, go to leosanta.com.
Leo Santa, presented by Rob Inario, attorney at law, 864 call Rob.
With special thanks to Upstate SC Heroes Program and Malone Heating and Air. Thanks from ESPN Upstate.
Hey, it's ESPN Upstate's Mark Ryan. Join me at Ingles Markets this and every Thursday from 3 to 7 with a special live edition of Offsides with Mark Ryan. This Thursday will be at 2212 Poinsett Highway in Greenville. Brought to you by Ingles Markets on ESPN Upstate.
With PatriotSoftware.com. Keep your time and money. Easy to learn, easy to use. Small business software tailored just for you. PatriotSoftware.com. Accounting and payroll. Keep your time and money. The Preserve It Verde wants to offer you an incredible deal. For a limited time only, become a member at the Preserve It Verde between December 1st and December 31st and get 3 free months of membership. Sign up now and you won't have to renew your membership until March of 23. Choose from any of their available pricing structures. Also check out their preferred player passes with 10 rounds of golf for $450 and their lesson packages. ThePreserveItVerde.com or call 676-1500 extension 1 to sign up today.
Donate a toy to an upstate child in need during the Leo Santa Toy Drive. Stop by the Bon Secours Wellness Arena in downtown Greenville all day Wednesday, December 8th through 10 a.m. Thursday, December 9th. Our friends from Greenville County Law Enforcement will be on hand accepting toys and donations. Learn more at leosanta.com. Presented by Rob Inario, attorney at law. That's 864 call Rob. Supported by Upstate SC Heroes Program, Long Heating and Air, and TLC Motors of Spartanburg.
Well, hey there, neighbor. What you doing with that big old machine there? Hey there, Mark. I'm making some space for the new pool. Hey, did you already call 811 before you got started? Nah, I didn't call them. And you need to call them before you start digging. You're bound to hit something under there digging blind. I'll be fine. What's the worst that could happen? Dang it. You should have called 811. Sponsored by South Carolina 811, SCBA, and this station.
You may be into punk rock, soft rock, or classic rock, R&B, hip hop, or house, country, techno, or techno country. But no matter what kind of music you listen to, there's something else you should hear. Please consider getting vaccinated. Talk to your pharmacist today about Comirnaty, COVID-19 vaccine mRNA. This message brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
The People's Choice Awards, hosted by Kenan Thompson, is the only award show chosen by you, the people. So let Kenan hear you.
With nominees in every category.
TV,
movies,
pop culture,
and performances from your favorite artists.
Christina Aguilera,
Shelton.
full surprises,
Plus huge icon award winners.
Halle Berry,
Dwayne Johnson. Kardashian West.
and more.
Hosted by me, Kenan Thompson. The People's Choice Awards. Live tonight on NBC and E. And the red carpet starts first. Live from E.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Audible is the best place to listen for everything you're into, from comedy and motivation to popular podcasts and best-selling audiobooks. Right now, take advantage of a special holiday offer and save 60% on your first 3 months. Learn more and sign up at audible.com. More than the scores, the ups and downs, the ins and outs.
Texture says, imagine the most disgruntled U of SC fans who are kicked out often are also drunks. Explains why there are so many texting in today.
See, that goes along with that. I just don't believe. I don't believe it, but they really enjoy talking about it.
I've been to 2 of them. Didn't have an issue with either one of them. Yeah, people are going to drink beer. They're adults. You'd be all right. I don't think I saw something. And now I know that they average what is it, most ejections in the SEC per game?
According to sources.
Yeah, according to people. But I'll also tell you that I know some stadiums are far more strict with where they draw a line with what warrants an ejection. I've seen people get away with some stuff at LSU. I've seen people get away with some stuff at Alabama.
Yeah, and certain ag schools have, officers that might just be turning the other way. They might be, or enjoying with them.
All right, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP, ESPN is the number. Texas at 71307, 71307. Start your text with ESPN. When we come back, we'll get away from Clemson, South Carolina, get some NFL talking and more on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
Presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update powered by The Score. Carolina Panthers football head coach Matt Rule meeting with the media on Monday. He was asked about the decision to fire offensive coordinator Joe Brady. He basically simply said that he feels like the offense can do more and can score more points, and that's why they made the decision to move on from Brady. The Panthers are designating offensive tackle Cameron Irving to return from IR. He's been on IR since November 8th with a calf injury, so this opens up a 21-day window where he is able to practice. You have to activate him to the 53-man roster within those 21 days, or his season will come to an end. Panthers getting ready to play host to Atlanta coming up on Sunday. Download the Score app today, lightning fast sports alerts, so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. For ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Joined now by Clemson starting quarterback DJ, who we underplays he's the team this year. Any added pressure for you to carry that Tiger paw on the lapel?
The only thing I just want to be able to represent Clemson University as a great university we are, as far as we are.
We know Dabo has kind of over the years built this culture and this family. What's that been like for you to be not just a part of that family, but really a leader of it?
It's a great honor to be able to be part of Clemson and to be able to be a leader there. And you just want to be able to do your part. You just give 110%. You just be able to continue to keep building that program.
So obviously there's going to be a little different.
Probably need to yank this one up.
I think the only thing that might be different is that I might weigh a little bit more than Trevor. I'm not 250. I think we're real similar right there. So I just want to be able to bring my own legacy.
Sure.
So whatever they want to do, I mean, I'll run the ball 100 times a day if they really want me to. Whatever it takes to get a W, I'll do it.
I respect it.
Catch the Rob Brown Show weekdays noon to 3 on ESPN Upstate.
This is Graham County Sheriff of Fort Lewis. No upstate child should have Christmas without presents under the tree. Donate a toy during the Leo Sanatory Drive. Stop by the Bond Secure Wellness Arena in downtown Greenville this Wednesday and Thursday. Greenville County Law Enforcement will be on hand accepting toys and donations. Plus, see special team demonstrations by tactical teams and our K-9 patrol unit. Help an underprivileged child this Christmas. For more information, go to leosanta.com.
Leo Santa, presented by Rob Inario, attorney at law. 864 call Rob.
With special thanks to Greenville Heritage Federal Credit Union, TLC Motors, and Harley Davidson of Greenville. Thanks from ESPN Upstate. Morning.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represent Green Green. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Man, I don't. I sat in with Offsides yesterday, and shock of shocks, spent 3 hours agreeing with pretty much everything Mark Ryan said. Then 45 minutes ago, he says all these recruiting decommitments are evidence kids are signing on to a coach and not a school. What a mistake! If you commit to a school, you'll never be disappointed. It won't let you down like a coach will. Don't love that. Don't love that. Here's the thing. Some kids sign on for a school. Yeah, some kids sign on for a school. But even students sign up for what the school can provide to them. Give you an example. Missouri has incredible An incredible journalism school, right? An incredible journalism school. One of my best friends from high school, a young lady named Annie Reynolds, who was the editor of our school paper, all she wanted to do was be a journalist. That's it. She just wanted to be a journalist. Annie, who was a BYU fan, she was a member of the Latter-day Saints. Annie always wanted to go to BYU, but she wanted to be a journalist. So she signed to go to Mizzou. She went to Missouri because their journalism school is outstanding, right? She didn't go to Mizzou because she loved Mizzou. She didn't go to Mizzou because she wanted to be a Tiger. She went to Mizzou because that school could offer her her best chance to live the life and work the career she wanted to live and wanted to work. That was why she went there. She didn't sign on Mizzou because it has anything other than a great journalism school. And I suspect when I told you this story, none of you had a violent reaction to it, did you? Did anybody think to themselves, how unbelievably selfish of her for deciding to go to that school, which had the best opportunity to help her advance herself and her goals? No. None of you got mad about that. None of you were upset about that. The school was able to offer her an education in the field she wanted to work in and a resume builder that when she got out, a lot of newspapers are going to go, oh, this kid went to the Mizzou School of Journalism. That is like a top-ranked institution for that particular subject. We're going to hire her because of that. And none of you had a violent reaction to that, did you? Anybody? No? Bueller? Didn't think so. So why are people getting up in arms when college students go, this school doesn't give me my best chance to succeed? Right? Why? Missouri offered her not just a scholarship, but a range of other options. Now, if she had gone to Mizzou for 2 years, let's say she went to Mizzou her freshman or sophomore year, and after her sophomore year, she decided that she really wanted to cover, and I'm making this part up, but let's say she decided she really wanted to be a business reporter. She wanted to cover the world of finance and Wall Street. Let's say in order to get that accomplishment, she decided to drop out of Mizzou and enroll at XYZ State U, which has a great business school and a good journalism school, because she wanted to learn business and journalism. Would any of you get mad about that? Would any of you look at her and go, you signed up to get your degree at Mizzou, so you should stay and get your degree at Mizzou? No. None of you would care about it. None of y'all would care about it. You would not be upset about it. So why is it when a football player goes, you know what? This school that I'm at provided me with, because remember, the exchange here is the school provides room, board, travel, football. But in that last one, they provide a coaching staff to coach you, right? The coaches are a resource for you. The guy that's holding the clipboard and the visor, the guy that's up in the booth calling the plays, your individual position coach who's working you through drills on practice day. These are all resources for you to use. They help you with your progression towards whatever your goal is. Maybe your goal is to be a starter. Maybe your goal is, I just want to be here and play. Hooray. Maybe your goal is, I want to make the NFL. Maybe your goal is, I just want to use football as a way to enhance my education and get a degree. Everybody has a different goal and a different motivation for what they want to do, right? What I want to accomplish in radio is probably different than what Mark wants to accomplish. Probably different than what Zoe wants to accomplish. Probably different than what Diesel wants to accomplish. We all have our own goals. That's part of what's great about the individuality of this country. You can work towards whatever you want to work towards. And if one place is capable of providing you what you consider to be better resources to accomplish that goal, there's nothing wrong with taking advantage of that. None. If you're a chef, yeah, I forget that analogy. I'll give you the one. I'll give you one from me. My goal in this business, long term, My dream job in this business is to get to the point where I'm effectively Chris Fowler. I'm flying around the globe, calling play-by-play and talking about every sporting event under the sun. I want to do the Olympics. I want to do the tennis Grand Slam Opens. I want to do the NBA, the NFL, the MLB. I want to do all of it. I want to be play-by-play for every imaginable sporting event you can think of. That's my long-term goal. And I promise you it's not easy. That's a long-term goal. A big step in that is getting to a home radio station. A radio station that I wake up and go, damn, I'm glad I work here. It took me 15 years to get here. 15 years. But here I am in a place that I love to call home, in a station I love working for people I like to work for, and with people I like to work with. It took me 15 years. Now, when I started 15 years ago, I worked for a little radio station down in the Destin-Fort Walton Beach area of the Florida Panhandle. And I worked there for about 12 years, off and on in different capacities and different time slots. Started as a producer, worked up to executive producer, worked up to morning show sidekick, worked up to host of the morning show, worked up to co-host on the afternoon show, worked up to host in the afternoon show, got sent back to co-host of the morning show, came back up to the host, went back to afternoon producer, and 10P to 2A overnight host. I did a lot to cut my teeth at that radio station, and they did a lot for me. Did a lot for me. When I was trying to finish up my college degree on the old 7-year plan, for a full semester, I had a 9 a.m. class. They let me host 2 days a week, the morning show, on remote from the parking lot of my university in Pensacola, about 70 miles away from the station. They let me host the show. So for a full semester, I sat in the front seat of my car and hosted this show from the parking lot of the journalism building at the University of West Florida. I owed them a lot for how I got to where I am now.
Were you using the college's Wi-Fi?
Yes, I was.
Okay, I'm just curious from that standpoint.
I paid tuition, sucker. That Wi-Fi is mine. Yes, I was. That's why I was there. Front row. I had to get there. I had to get to the parking lot at 5:45 in the morning and host from the front seat of my car, connected to the journalism school's Wi-Fi, for 3 hours in the front seat of a running Honda Accord, because that's what I had to do to make that job work. And they let me do it. I had a lot of loyalty, right? A lot of loyalty. And then there came a point where I had a decision to make. Do I stick with the people who brought me here? It was a little mom and pop radio station. It was owned by one family, really one guy, because the wife wasn't involved. There was one guy that owned the station and ran the whole thing. We more often than not, he'd give us our paycheck on Friday and don't cash this until next Wednesday. So you had to sit on paychecks for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days sometimes. By the time you were able to cash one, you were owed another one that also couldn't cash. I played that game for a very long time, but I felt loyal to them. They gave me my start. They bent over backwards to make sure that I could keep serving in the job that I wanted to do. And then there came a point. There came a point where I had a decision to make. I can move up and I can move on. And I can go somewhere that provides me with better resources to accomplish my long-term goals. Or I can go back to working for these guys who absolutely did a ton to get me started down this path. But based on their limited resources, they could only take me so far. And then I was just kind of on that plateau. So I could sit here and host on a station in Destin, Florida, or I can take a step up. I took the step. I'm here. Now I know a lot of y'all wish I would go back.
Shock jock.
A lot of y'all wish I would go back. But I think we're doing okay here, right? Best sports talk show in South Carolina, according to the South Carolina Broadcasters Association. I feel like we're doing okay. Ratings on this station keep climbing up. Our website is the second most visited website of any radio station in this building, with the exception of our sister station, a news talk station, which is always going to be number one in any cluster. We're doing okay. But in order to get here, to take the step to get in this spot, I had to leave that place behind. With the exception of those of you who wish I would go back. Any of y'all mad at me for doing that? Does anybody think I made a disloyal choice? Do any of you think that I made the wrong call? That I am wrong for leaving that station behind to come here? Not because you want me to go back, but if you're looking at me from a standpoint, forget if you like me or not on the radio. Did I make a selfish, self-involved, wrong call to leave that place, to leave that station, which gave me a lot to get my career started, to come here to Greenville, South Carolina, and take over the afternoon slot on ESPN Upstate? No. There might be one or two of you who are going, you're going to put yourself in the owner's shoes before mine, and you're going to go, hey, man, these guys did a lot for you, and they needed a show host, and you bailed on them. Sure, there might be a few, but I'm going to guess you're the small minority in that, right?
See, I don't know because you were there, but I'm guessing that if they cared about you enough to make those kind of things for you, so that you could still be on the air, that they probably appreciate that you've taken the step up.
I carried that station as the only on-air producer and host by myself, working a 3-hour morning show and a 4-hour afternoon show for about a year and a half. I did 7 hours a day, 3 in the morning, at the station at 5:15 in the morning, leave about 10 p.m., go home, take a nap, come back at 2:30 in the afternoon, on the air from 4 to 7. Rinse, repeat, 5 days a week. Yeah, they did appreciate it. And when they called me and they said, hey, man, we heard you're on your way back from Jacksonville, we'd like for you to come in and host again. And I went, I got an opportunity in Greenville. And they said, okay, what do we need? And I told them what I needed to stay. And they just said, we just don't have that. Good luck, which is fine. Here's my question. Do y'all get mad? Do y'all get mad at a guy like me doing that? And if so, and I'm assuming the answer is no for most of you, because that's what we call a business decision, right? I made a business decision there. Knowing the business I was in and knowing the goals that I want to accomplish in that business, I had to make a business decision. And I'll tell you, it was not an easy call when they called me and asked me to host. Hey, we want you to come back. I'm like, oh, man, I could stay in the area. They told me, we will send you over a Comrex. You don't even have to drive to Destin. You can host the show from Pensacola. I didn't have to leave Pensacola. But I went, it's just, here's what I need to accomplish what I want to accomplish. And they said, we can't match it. And they went, okay, good luck. Wish you the best. Let us know if you're back in the area. None of y'all got mad at me because that's a business call. Yet when these kids do this, because the school cannot provide them with the resources that they want in order to reach their goals, you get takes like this, calling their decision a mistake.
See, I get where Mark's coming from. He's living in the past. He's kind of an older guy now. And I am no longer, I can't be there anymore. This is a business now. And when it comes down to these kids following coaches when the coaches leave, how do you really have a problem with that? That's the guy who sat in the living room and said, hey, you're special. I want you to come. And they may say, come play at the school, but what they really mean, I want you to come and play for me. And when those kids, hey, or the kids are asking them, hey, can I go with you? And they're probably saying yes, because they picked that kid. This guy sits in the living room and says, hey, you're special. Come play for us, but he means come play for me.
Sure.
So I don't have a problem with that, following a coach to another team. But some people, they love their school so much that they cannot fathom the fact that they need to get, especially, and I hate to go back to Clemson, there are going to be some of those players that go, I love Brent Venables. I want to go where he's at.
100%. And they're not wrong for it. The coaches are a resource provided to you by the school. Okay? Now, it may be, in Mark's opinion, because he loves his school. In Mark's opinion, his school is bigger than college football as a whole. But remember, a lot of kids, I would say the majority of kids who start playing college football at any level, they're not playing at a school because they grew up loving that school. They're playing at a school because that school provides the resources that they need for their next step, their next goals. And a coach is one of those resources.
Well, somewhere in there are a few kids that are going there because that's the school they want to go to.
Absolutely. I know a guy personally who played football at the University of Alabama, and he didn't play football at Alabama because Nick Saban was there in his first year. He played at Alabama because he and his family were all huge Alabama fans, and when he was being recruited and Alabama offered him, he committed on the spot because that's his school. And he didn't care if it was Mike Price or Mike Shula or Nick Saban or Farmer Fran coaching that team. That's where he was going to play. He didn't care who it was for. He was coaching for the school. And that's fine. His goal was to be an Alabama football player. But that's not everybody. Some kids don't have the goal of being an Alabama football player. They got a goal of accomplishing this. Some kids are going to go to a school because that school has the best offer for a major that they want to study. Some kids go because they provide academic resources that other schools can't. Some kids go because they believe that this coach has a better chance to get them ready for the NFL. There's any 1,000, 10,000, 50,000 reasons that a kid goes to a school. One of those resources, the number one reason is the resources that are provided. I have a buddy from high school that played for Alabama. He just wanted to play for Alabama. That was it. The resource for him was slapping on that crimson with his number on the side of the helmet. That was his resource to accomplish his goal. But there are some other guys that go to Alabama because Nick Saban is a resource to get you to the next level. And he's churning out NFL players in the first round unlike anybody else. So of course you want to play for the guy if that's your goal. If your goal is to go to a great business school, maybe you go to FSU because they got a good business school. If your goal is to go into medical school and play football, maybe you go to Florida not because you're a Florida fan, but because they have the best resources. Coaches are a resource. If you signed up to play football at LSU, come on down, play for us, go Tigers, right? Because you like Coach O's personality. He was an idiot, but he's a good dude who's an idiot. And you sign up because you went, I love this guy and I want to be around this guy. He's charismatic and he knows his stuff. And I'm a defensive lineman that's a 4-star recruit and I want to play for LSU because who is going to train me up better than Ed Orgeron? Go Tigers. But then you play for a year and Edo leaves. And here comes Brian Kelly, who could not be a more polar opposite of Ed Orgeron if you paid him to. Ed don't talk like this. Brian Kelly talks like this now, apparently, y'all. Polar opposites. Ed Orgeron, defensive guy. Brian Kelly, offensive mind. Ed Orgeron, he ain't young, but he's what? 15 years younger than Brian Kelly. That's a generation gap. Brian Kelly appears to be a bit of a egomaniac away from the program. Ed Orgeron loved his kids, spending time with them. Completely different world. And if the coach is a resource provided to you by the school and you don't believe that Brian Kelly can prepare you to meet your goals like Ed Orgeron can, it's a business decision to leave. Staying there would damage your ability to reach your goals down the line. And when did we decide that college kids weren't allowed to have goals, weren't allowed to have dreams, weren't allowed to have things that they want to accomplish with their life? No. While you're here at University of XYZ, your only goals, your only hopes, your only dreams are what I say they should be. Could you imagine if somebody talked to you like that? Could you imagine if somebody came up to you, Lonzo, and said, I'm not really worried about what you want to accomplish in your life. What I want you to accomplish is X, Y, and Z for ESPN Upstate. And if you leave, you're selfish.
Well, there were some bosses back in the day.
Sure. And I'm sure there were probably some mutinies because of it. Right? Do you imagine now if a boss comes in and goes, hey, I need you to accomplish X, Y, and Z for ESPN Upstate. If Hendrix comes down the hall and goes, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, I jump at it. I need you to start clipping out these shorter segments and posting those on social. Great. Do it at 3, 4, 5 today. No problem. I need you to write something for the website. Great. I'll write something for the website. No problem. Why? Because helping ESPN Upstate helps Rob Brown too. But if he came down here and he said, hey, I need you to go down to Classic Rock 1011, and I need you to whip Stone Man into shape just a little bit because Lord howdy, he needs it. You know, I'm going, is that really in my scope? Right? I mean, I would do it anyway because I like my job. But with that,
and you
know
kind of would enjoy it a little bit.
Oh, here's a better example. If he came to me and he said, Rob, I need you to go host the show from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on WORD. Right? I probably would not be all that excited to do that gig because it has nothing to do with what I want to accomplish. There's no mutual benefit there, right? So why is it these kids aren't allowed to have their own goals and objectives and take advantage of resources offered or taken away from them? You sign up for whatever reason you want to sign up. And if it's not right for you, go home, young man. Quick break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate. Texter says, please don't ever speak the words Mike Price again. Signed every Alabama fan. Trey, welcome, buddy. Thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate that. It's very kind of you. We are glad to have you amongst the ranks of the ESPN Upstate Nation. Hope we make it worth it for you, big dog.
No, you just said this show.
Of the Rob Brown Show Nation. Hope we make it worth your while.
Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Weekends at the Well are back for Furman University basketball. Bon Secours Wellness Arena in downtown Greenville is to cite 4 games over 3 different dates, and tickets are available now at FurmanPaladins.com. Mark your calendars for January the 8th, February 5th, and February 19th. 4-game packs starting at just $40. Individual game tickets are on sale. All the information at FurmanPaladins.com. It's Weekends at the Well. Furman basketball returning to downtown Greenville.
I'm Chelsea Messenger helping you keep the books with BetQL. 84 teams will play in bowl games this year, and it's always hard to judge which teams will gear up and which ones will ratchet down. Let me give you a 5-star best bet from BetQL. Texas A&M against Wake Forest in the Gator Bowl. Jimbo Fisher always gets his team ready to play. He's 8-2 in bowl games, and at A&M he's been 3-0. BetQL says take the Aggies.
Texter says, Rob, no way they would let you take over the Terror Show. Maybe Vince's show, though.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering supplies and solutions for every industry.
Guys need to leave Vince alone.
Call for Grainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Fisher Investments, our clients know we have their backs. How do your clients know that? Because Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interests first. So you do it because you have to? No. We do it because it's the right thing to do. Our clients trust us with their retirement savings, and we know how important that responsibility is. So we take the time to really get to know them. Get to know them how? We make sure we understand their unique goals, finances, health, family, and lifestyle, so we can tailor their portfolio to their specific needs. Our goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement. Sounds like a big responsibility. You must make big commissions then, right? No, we don't sell commission-based products. We have one single transparent fee that's structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss. Do you really want to go through another year with that awful joint pain? Don't do it. Resolve right now to get yourself moving again for 2022. Hey, it's Charlie James. It's time to call QC Kinetics. Non-surgical regenerative treatments for joint pain. We're talking lasting results using natural biologics. No surgeries, no pain meds, no steroids, and no downtime. This is really exciting stuff. Regenerative restorative treatments that actually encourage your body to heal itself using highly concentrated natural biologics. Patients are raving about it. For hip pain relief, knee pain relief, shoulder and back pain relief, don't let them keep giving you steroids. And don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics. Do it now and imagine life in 2022 without pain. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772.
This feature is sponsored by Indeed. If your seasonal hiring needs are covered, then you don't need Indeed. Indeed is the smart hiring platform.
So what we doing?
Quick in out, then call Joe for the third segment.
Okay.
New school, new job, new home. Change is hard and can leave you feeling isolated. And divorce delivers one of life's hardest blows. The relationships you counted on are suddenly gone. But you don't have to walk through this alone. For more than 30 years, Cordell.
What month was it when we curled? Do you remember? When we went to the curling thing?
I don't. I can go back and look through my Facebook and find the pictures.
I can do that. It's not dumb.
I don't remember.
I'm putting together a best of segment for New Year's Day for Upstate Pulse. And I know the Muppet incident happened when that happened.
The Muppet incident.
And so I might replay that song.
The Upstate Holiday Light Show is going on now at Greenville Pickens Speedway. Drive through a nighttime Christmas wonderland as 32 million colors set the sky ablaze, synchronized to the music of your favorite holiday classics. UpstateLights.com.
I love my family. They're funny, sweet, smart, even smell nice. But I hate holiday shopping to them. But ho, 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 not anymore. Because I discovered the perfect holiday
Ho,
gift for
ho,
my entire
ho,
family.
not anymore.
Skechers have affordable, comfortable shoes that will make checking off your gift list easy as pumpkin pie. The kids go crazy for them. They have shoes that light up and sparkle, shoes that slip on and off, shoes that look
Do you know anyone who's ever bought someone a car for Christmas? These car commercials are really starting to get on my nerves.
Dad bought my mom one years ago, but it was not like the.
It's
like
a
the
Buick.
commercials.
Wow, it's a Lexus.
It was
Yeah.
like it was a Chevy Suburban for her to hustle us around. That was.
Look, I bought you a minibus.
But it was probably like a 97 Suburban. Yeah, it was like a 97 Suburban. Back when the Suburbans were cool, man. Quick segment. Joe Giglio of BetQL joins us in the next segment. Check this out. Let's do a little math lesson, shall we? I'm not going to ask you to keep track of this. Coaching buyouts for 2021 right now. Orgeron, 17 mil. Mullen, 12 mil. Patterson, 12 mil. Helton, 10 mil. Lake, 9.9 mil. Fuente, 8.7. Wells, 7.4. Carey, 4 mil. Diaz, 4 mil. Adazio, 3 mil. Holtz, 3 mil. Bell, 940K. Lunsford, 800K. Lindsay, 700K. R640K. Edsel, 400K. That is a total, Lonzo.
Somewhere around 90 million or something?
94. Well done. $94.4 million in buyout money alone. In buyout money alone. One more major coach gets canned. I don't think he will. But if one more major coach gets bailed, and by the way, when I say major, you need a buyout of $5.6 million. And we will make it to $100 million in buyout money for coaches just at the Division I level. That's just D1. And $5 $8.6 million would be a bigger buyout than all but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 coaches, right? One more, $100 million in buyout money. So I just want to make sure to kind of piggyback onto this last segment. You guys are upset with a kid changing schools because the resources provided to him don't let him reach his next round of goals. But we're cool with $100 million of money being paid to coaches to not coach anymore. By the way, this is new buyouts. This does not include all the buyouts that are still getting paid like Will Muschamp's, right? This does not include buyout money from the last handful of years. This is $100 million in new buyout money. Hey, Lonzo, what do you think the college, the overall standpoint of college athletics could do with $100 million of cash invested into it?
I would think they could do a lot.
Yeah, but Johnny Sims, the left tackle, who decides to transfer schools because he got a new head coach, he's the problem here. $100 million on the table just in coaches to not coach anymore. But Johnny changing schools in the transfer portal, that's where the real problem with college football is.
Well, Johnny's a punk. He has no loyalty.
None. His coach just got paid $9.9 million to walk away, but I'll be daggummed if he's not the bad guy. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me. Joe Giglio of BetQL joins us in the next segment. My name is Rob. He's Lonzo. This is ESPN Upstate. Pardon me just a moment, stream, while I give...
Entertaining now.
Sometimes go broke. My first business startup in the 80s was a fledgling startup story. Cars were maxed, car had bald tires, house had broken windows, and my employees got paid before I did. But my diet of hot dogs and mac and cheese was to die for. Hi, I'm Mike Capel, founder and CEO of Patriot Software. My business startup was messy. Actually, I was broke. My wife and I lived on fumes for 4 years. To escape our financial reality, we played board games and dreamt of someday owning our own boardwalk and park place. That's why I created my 5th successful company, Patriot Software, to help small business owners do their payroll without going broke. And if you need help, we will help you for free. Go to patriotsoftware.com and enter promo code RADIO, and I'll give you 2 months of payroll processing free. That's patriotsoftware.com.
Restrictions may apply. Plans and cost of coverage may vary. Call protect my property details. Look, we're in a state for everyone right now. It's been a tough year, and you sure don't need to get hit with a big unexpected bill. Like, what if your car breaks down right now? How are you paying the bill? If it's your transmission, that's over $3,000. Your engine, up to $6,000. Even minor repairs like your air conditioning can hit your wallet hard. Here's the good news: if you have a car, truck, or SUV that's $19.99 or newer, you can stop paying for repairs right now. That's right. We protect your car. When your car breaks down, we pay your repair bill for you. Just call 800-279-2827.
America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on?
So it's about that time for an oil change. We've got what you need. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge full synthetic.
Hi, speak to Joe, please. Hey, this is Alonzo, ESPN Upstate. I'm doing good. How are you? All right. We got about 30 seconds. Hang on.
Mine's DMV. Days till you get your next paycheck. Getting your car warmed up on a cold day. These are all things best shorter, just like my computer career. Now you can complete the evening program.
Yes, Stephen, it is supposed to be. That would be tomorrow.
That would be tomorrow. Are you Thursday nighting Spider-Man?
I haven't bought tickets yet, and they may not be available, so I don't know.
True. See, there's not a lot of crowds I hate. I hate a crowded movie theater. It's one of the few crowded places that I'm like, I'm uncomfortable with this. Every Tuesday, this time we go to the phone lines and welcome in a friend of ours on the air. He is Mr. Joe Giglio. He is the host of BetQL Daily. You can find his work on the BetQL website, betql.com. You can also find his podcast, BetQL Daily, on our Odyssey podcasting network. Mr. Joe Giglio joins us here on the show to talk a little sports wagering. Joe, my man, welcome back, big fella.
How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great, but I'm doing better than the I'm going to be nice about this. Insane people who stood in that daggum stadium last night in 35-mile-an-hour winds and snow to watch what might go down as one of the most boring football games I've ever put my eyeballs on.
Yeah, listen, that was way more fun to watch at home with the heat on than to sit out there. I just can't imagine being in that kind of wind for that many hours. Forget the temperature. The wind had to just be brutal. I mean, you saw the coach in the sideline with their faces just, red as a beet there. And as you said, it wasn't exactly modern NFL football, but a heck of a coaching job there by Bill Belichick.
Sure. I'll tell you, Joe, I've talked about that. I think I could probably be okay in the cold because I can add more layers. I think I might even be okay in the snow for a little while.
No.
I hate the cold. However, I could not sit in a football stadium with that cold and snow and 30-mile-an-hour consistent winds that gusted up to 55. Joe, when you're looking at a game and you know weather's going to be impacted, they were showing one of the kickers. I don't know which one it was. There was a video from the press box of one of the kickers who was kicking into the wind, practicing PATs, and he could not get the ball to the uprights. The ball would go up, stop, and come back down to him. When you are looking at weather conditions like that, aside from the very obvious bet the hell out of the under, what else do you look for to try to find an advantage when you got two teams who got to battle it up in some garbage weather like that?
Yeah, I thought the props, well, a couple things. One, I thought the props yesterday morning, right? I think they dropped considerably before kickoff. But just yesterday morning, looking at it, knowing what we were probably dealing with last night, I just thought it was just totally off. Like, the props were almost expecting a normal game script with, passes and runs and kind of just normal football, but that probably was going to happen last night. Now, Bill Belichick took it to the nth degree. But guys, yesterday you could have found Mac Jones passing attempts before the game, yesterday morning, about 10 hours before kickoff, at 29.5. I mean, it might have been the easiest under in history of sports gambling. I mean, he threw 3 passes last night. You hit that by 26. No, I didn't think he'd throw 3 passes, but I think any of us could have probably thought, all right, he's not going to throw the ball much tonight, and Belichick will stick to the run. So there's that. And the other side of it, I think you could do, especially up in Buffalo with the way the winds seem to go, it depends on which side of the field you're on. I think that's one of those games where you could jump in live on your favorite app, and you could kind of just see how the game's going, see which team has the wind, and probably take teams quarter by quarter just based on what you're watching. I mean, sometimes that's dangerous, but with the wind and the weather, I think that might be the best way to go sometimes.
Talking with Joe Giglio, host of BetQL Daily from the BetQL Network. How far out do you start looking? I mean, look, it's obviously going to be a huge factor, especially when it's as severe as it was last night. But, I mean, are you checking weather reports for cities the week before? Are you trying to get a jump on them? How do you handle that, especially as we start moving deeper into the winter months with games up north and open-air stadiums?
Yeah, I think that is the best way to play it. I mean, if if you want an edge, the earlier the better. Now, obviously, 10 days out is a really long time for a weather forecast. But once you get into that 3, 4, 5 day range, you pretty much have a feel something's going on here. Maybe it's not going to be as big of a deal as you think, but something's going on here. And you could tell last week, looking at the over-under total on the Patriots-Bills game, that sharps, those who do this, for a living, they were in on this early because the line on the Patriots-Bills game, the over-under, the total on the game, dropped considerably around last Thursday night, last Friday morning. So people in the know, the people that really are putting down significant money on this, they basically moved that number down. And then the question for all of us yesterday became, is it now too far down, right? Is the value lost? It turned out no. I mean, it still went under the total of 39 before kickoff, 39.5, whatever it was. But, you look back at that total a week before the game was played, Rob, the total was in the, lower 40s, 43, 44. So, that game finished at 24 total points. I mean, if you saw the weather and you took the over-under on 44, took the under, again, like Mac Jones's prop with the attempts yesterday, probably the easiest bet you'll make all year.
Talking with Joe Giglio, host on the BetQL Network and the host of BetQL Daily. You can find it on the Odyssey Podcasting Network. We are kind of getting to a wild part in the NFL. We've talked about underdogs hitting, but we've got some teams that are going streaky, right? We talked about a few weeks back, you picked the Vikings to upset the Packers, and one of the best picks you've given us so far. But since then, they're 2-4, and they lost to the lowly, otherwise winless Detroit Lions. Any other patterns, any other streaks with teams specifically that have led to some money for you? Or lost you some, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think the Washington football team is an interesting one because a few weeks ago, they looked like they were dead. And here we go again where they're playing pretty well and they're winning these games. But I think the most intriguing part of this is their defense has gotten better since losing Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Before the season, those are the two guys we talked about. That's why Washington could be good. That's why Washington could win the division again or go to the playoffs. They have these two great pass rushers. Those guys get hurt, and the team has gotten better. It's almost like a wave, the NFL season. You got to know when to jump on, when to jump off. This week I would jump off the Washington football team against Dallas. That number is down to 4. It's surprising to me. I think Dallas, with extra time to prepare, will have a good chance this weekend to take down the Washington football team. Plus, I mean, you look at the game and the significance in the NFC East. If Washington wins, they are alive for the division. Dallas, despite all their issues the last month, they could pretty much wrap up the NFC East by just taking care of business this weekend, putting a big gap between themselves, Washington, the Eagles. So I think this is when you get off the train, get off the wave of the Washington football team against Dallas.
Talking to Joe Giglio of BetQL. Over to college ball, we got our bowl announcements. We know South Carolina, North Carolina in a bit of a border war. Clemson's going to be heading down to Orlando to take on Iowa State. You and I have had a similar conversation in the past, Joe. I am terrified of putting money on bowl games. There's just so many things that we don't and can't know. We're seeing guys like Kevin Thibodeau who are going to sit out of Oregon's bowl game. That's a huge blow to them. We know other guys are going to drop out as we get closer. Some guys are going to get rested last minute because there's no sense in risking an injury to them, especially returners, etc. How do you, if you do, how do you approach bowl games when we're still kind of right after the selection, still waiting to find out who's in, who's out, etc.?
Yeah, it's tough. I think I'm with you. Bowl games are difficult. And I think it goes back to the coaching staffs. Who do you trust? Who's healthy? And you start looking to see that news that trickles out. I'm sure we'll get more. Thibodeau's not going to be the first. He's not the last. He's not the first. He won't be the last. Players that do not play in their bowl game because they're like, listen, I'm done here. I'm going to the NFL. I'm not getting hurt in this game. It cost myself millions of dollars in April for a meaningless game that has no implications on anything. It's not a playoff game, not a title game. Like, these guys don't care, and I get it. I mean, their career is basically over in collegiate sports. So the more of that comes out, it's pretty significant. But coaches that you could trust are where I always like to go. I mean, guys that off 3-4 weeks in the past have done a really, really good job. Those are the coaches that I tend to favor, and it's why when we look forward to the playoff, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot about the next few weeks, Alabama at a big number, but it's Nick Saban. It's Nick Saban in a college football playoff game. And we know these semifinal games historically, the last 5, 6, 7 years, have been mostly blowouts. An upset here or there, but these semifinal games are usually not great television on New Year's Eve. And I think when Alabama takes out Cincinnati for as great of a season as they've had, they're 14-point underdogs for a reason. And I get Nick Saban with 3 weeks to prepare for Cincinnati. I will take Nick Saban. I will swallow the points, and I won't think twice about it.
We're talking to Joe Giglio. Hey, Joe, would have been so super cool of you to remind me about Nick Saban. You know, last Tuesday before I took Georgia and laid all the points and watched Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs completely freeze up in that game.
Yeah, I wish I was on it too. I was wrong on that. Not that I didn't think it was crazy that they would cover, but I thought it was a lower scoring game. I thought if it was a cover, it was probably a loss by Alabama and a 3-point loss, 6-point loss, and a cover. I didn't see that coming. I don't think any of us did, and we missed it. I mean, a couple of days. One, I do now wonder in retrospect the motivation for Georgia. I mean, think about it. They knew they were going to the college football playoff, win or loss. And not that I'm not saying they didn't want to win the game, but there's a different kind of motivation when you need to win the game to make the college football playoff. That was Alabama's spot. Saban knew it. Everyone knew it. You know, we could have had the debate, would a 2-loss team make it or not? Who knows? We don't have to have that debate now. But likely the only way Alabama was going was to win that game. That was a playoff game for them. For Georgia, it wasn't. For Georgia, it was just a big game with a lot of people there and a lot of eyes on the TV. But their playoff starts in a few weeks against Michigan. So that's the one aspect I think that maybe we all missed of it, the motivation factor for Georgia versus Alabama. It was clearly in favor of Alabama and Nick Saban. And it's funny, his team has had a weird year where they haven't been dominant, but now here they are again, number 1 seed in the college football playoff.
We're talking to Joe Giglio of BetQL. Joe, you know, we look at Nick Saban, right? And I fell for the trap. A lot of people fell for the trap of, this Alabama team's not what they've been in years past. They lost to Texas A&M. Frankly, they probably should have lost to Auburn if not for some late-minute heroics. I know they got Bryce Young. I know they got a deep ball, but Georgia's defense has been so dominant. Yet here comes Nick Saban, and he thinks, hey, man, look, we got this big Davis kid. If you run fast tempo offense, he gets gassed. We were watching him this 400-pounder getting stood up at the line of scrimmage. Do you look at teams like Nick Saban when Kirby Smart, who has kind of gained the reputation of similar to the one Bob Stoops had when we used to jokingly call him Big Game Bob because he just always seemed to get outmatched at the last minute? Do you consider those types of narratives when we get into games like Alabama, Georgia, and specifically into the playoffs?
I think you have to. I mean, I think, ignoring history would be silly. Now, if there's injuries, if the roster is just, way favored towards one side, then you have to kind of check the reality at the door. But I think you have to do that. And it's funny because I was just looking before we hopped on, just kind of look at headlines, depending on what the matchups would be in a college football final. And, obviously what happened last Saturday will move the public, will move the market on what could happen if we get a rematch, right? If Alabama wins, if Georgia wins, we get a rematch. And, we saw it on Saturday, it was a 6.5-point number. Georgia was favored. They didn't win the game. They lost. And you look ahead, right now, a look-ahead line on Alabama, Georgia still has Georgia as a favorite, 1-point favorite in that potential game. Now, that probably will shift, and, perceptions will change, and people will get all excited if Alabama blows out Cincinnati by 30 points. But it's just interesting that last week they were looked at about touchdown different. Right now, if they have to play again in about a month, they're looked at as basically even teams. Just shows you what our eyes change things on us. But listen, if Nick Saban is in it, I'm going to bank on Nick Saban to win. That's how good he is.
We're talking to Joe Giglio. Last one, Joe, and then we'll cut you loose. Give me some lines, some looks you look for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on some short favorites this week. I think we're getting to the point of the season where I think you're going to have few games where a team looks over someone or a team, in a pretty even matchup just lays an egg. I mean, this is crunch time now in the NFL. Couple that I like a lot. I just don't like the way Baltimore is playing right now offensively. Lamar last 4 games, 64.4 passer rating. And they have to come off a physical game against the Steelers and now go to Cleveland, who they just played 3 weeks ago. I love Cleveland in the spot. It was at 1.5. It's gone up to 2. It's going to 2.5. This will probably get to 3. I would jump on it now before it gets to the field goal. I like Cleveland a lot this week to take down the Baltimore Ravens. And the other one I like is Monday night. I mean, I just, at some point, we have to acknowledge what we're seeing. The Cardinals have been the best team so far this season in the NFC. They win every week. Their defense is underrated. Kyler Murray is back. He looked like he was healthy last week. And the next time Matthew Stafford wins a big game late in the season will be the first time. So I'm going to fade Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Last week, what they did to the Jaguars doesn't move me. They're bum slayers. They beat up on bad teams and they lose to the good ones. I think Arizona puts a pretty significant lock on the NFC West Monday, and I would take them at a pretty short number, only given a field goal against the Rams.
Joe Giglio is the host of BetQL Daily. You can find it at BetQL.com and on the Odyssey Podcast and Network. Joins us every Tuesday to talk some lines with us. Joe, my man, appreciate it. As always, big fella. We'll talk to you next week.
You got it, Rob.
That's Joe Giglio, BetQL, back after this to wrap up Hour 2 on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772.
From the 106.3 WORD Weather Center, here's the Upstate's most trusted forecast on ESPN Upstate. Partial sunshine develops this afternoon with a high around 52. Tonight, chance for rain showers for your late cloudy and near 30. By Wednesday, a chance for rain showers, cloudy high 56. Thursday, partial sunshine, high 55. Meteorologist Jennifer Buczynski on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 52.
That will require a lot of thought for me because I can't get past the first one, the first letter. I'll get there. I don't need help. I don't need help.
Trying to think.
I don't need
Do
help.
them both. And I will.
Oh, I just thought of the first one.
I will accept tag teams as one.
Okay. No, I just thought of one. So.
It's possible with Staples Connect. Staples Connect has you covered with custom packing materials, shipping supplies, and services for your business and holiday shipping. Now buy two, get one free on select premium shipping supplies. Plus get 25% off UPS Express shipping services. Staples Connect, the working and learning store. Supplies offer ends 12/19/21. UPS offer ends 1/1/22. In store only. Visit staplesconnect.com/shipping for details.
If your family depends on your income and something happened to you, what would happen to them? You need life insurance, and SelectQuote can help you get it at a price you can afford.
SelectQuote found Jacob, 40, who's in excellent health, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month.
Not in perfect health? Don't worry.
SelectQuote found Tanya, 40, who has type 2 diabetes, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $32 a month.
We shop companies like Protective, Prudential, American General, and others to find you the company with the best rates. Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford. For your free quote, call 1-800-507-2266. That's 1-800-507-2266. Or go to selectquote.com. That's 1-800-507-2266. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/promotion.
Trey, Zoe and I were talking about that. What was the rest of the show coming up this month? Isn't it next Saturday? No, Friday?
That one's an easily.
Yeah. I forgot to write the date down.
It's 17th, I think.
I think you're right. Thanks again to Joe Giglio, Beck you all for joining us. We got to run out for the top of the hour break. When we come back here in just a minute in the final hour of the show, I got an issue with the NBA and something that's going on, and I'm going to tell you what that is. I'm not thrilled about it. Really easy way to revamp the image of the NBA, but they're not going to do it. Plus, Kenyon Drake is really upset about something that happened in the NFL, and I think he's got a damn good point. We'll hit both of those and more when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Carolina Panthers football head coach Matt Rule meeting with the media on Monday. He was asked about the decision to fire offensive coordinator Joe Brady. He basically simply said that he feels like the offense could do more and could score more points, and that's why they made the decision to move on from Brady. The Panthers are designating offensive tackle Cameron Irving to return from IR. He's been on IR since November 8th with a calf injury, so this opens up a 21-day window where he is able to practice. Activated to the 53-man roster in those 21 days, or his season will come to an end. Panthers being ready to play host to Atlanta coming up on Sunday. Download the Score app today, lightning fast sports alerts, so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
Native American inspired dress and war paint will not be allowed in the stadium. Texas says, so how long are the entrance lines going to be at Washington football team games while they police all of this?
Are they having seminars with their employees to say, okay, we got the overhead projector going? And
I'm pretty sure that a reasonable individual can look at a person and determine whether or not they're wearing eye black or mock war paint.
you're 16 years old, you're working the stadium, do you really care that much? And are you confused and you have to go get your manager, hey man, I'm not quite sure. It's on one side of his face, meaning it was on both sides. So is one side okay? And her makeup looks kind of like one thing, but she may just be like Tammy Faye Baker's disciple. I don't know. I need help.
QC Kinetics in first break.
Download the Odyssey app and listen to ESPN Upstate and all the sports, news, music, and podcasts.
We make sure you and your people do everything possible to see that it
I get that, Trey, but it's okay to like both. I mean, you know, all the cool kids just like AEW, but, you know, wrestling fans can like both, including Big E and RK Bro and Liv Morgan. And there's some people on Raw that you could really like.
Dude, the shows this week are just ripping by, man. Just ripping by.
We can slow it down.
No, I have no interest in doing that.
I'm not quite sure. That's down.
So listen, the YAC for quarterbacks on the RPO versus 4-3 cover 3. Oh, you know what?
Don't you do it.
You know what?
Don't do it.
You don't even know what I'm doing, do you?
No, I'm worried you're going to go to a stats page. That's what I'm worried about.
Instead, I'm going to go for the audio of one Cooper Kupp. It's not in there. I'm going to run it off this computer. I've already checked it. I've already cleared it. Cooper Kupp was asked.
Yeah, like I completely trust, But anyway, I got a button. I'm good.
This is an interview on Sunday Night Football.
Oh, okay.
This is post Sunday Night Football.
So it
This
should
went
be
on TV.
clean.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is clean. Cooper Kupp got asked about a touchdown that he caught for the Rams this weekend. And that's all the setup I'm going to give you. Here's how Cooper Kupp responded to that question.
Touchdown specifically, your defender went and blitzed. What did you see there? How were you able to use that to your advantage?
Yeah, they had a little 3-deep fire zone, brought the nickel off the edge, safety dropped down. It didn't look like they were doing a replacement fire zone, so I knew at the back away we were going to get 3 pushing through. I had an opportunity to kind of run in there if I could beat my guy and just had to beat the safety to the end zone.
Touchdowns.
Yeah, but
Blitz coming up off the outside, realized that I could check to the too high safety, get up under my man, split across. It's like, wow. And the thing is, here, let's have fun with it.
Specifically, your defender went and blitzed. What did you see there? How were you able to use that to your advantage?
Yeah, they had a little 3-deep fire zone, brought the.
All right, 3-deep fire zone, right? So they start the formation with three defensive backs back, right? So you got a corner on both sides, safety covering over the middle. It's not single high. It can be disguised to look like a single high, but it's basically a three high defensive back look. But the fire on the outside means that one of those cornerbacks is coming off the edge, and it means that the safety and the cornerback, so whichever cornerback comes, the safety and the cornerback on the other side are going to rotate over. So you're going to end up effectively with cover 2 down the field with an outside blitzer coming to the outside, right? So Cooper said he realized that he had 3-deep cover with the fire on the outside, meaning that one of the DBs is going to blitz.
Nickel off the edge, safety.
Nickel off the edge.
Drop down.
Safety drop down. So they set up where they actually had another DB on the other side who dropped back out to cover up that zone to create a fake nickel look. But he's saying he saw that the safety on his side was going to have to drop back to make up for that spot.
It didn't look like they were doing a replacement fire zone, so
no replacement fire zone means that the guy that's blitzing, his zone on the field is not going to have another DB walk up to replace it, which likely means that you're going to have your guy coming out of the backfield who would go to that area of the field, probably covered up with the linebacker, or they're just going to kind of voluntarily forfeit that part of the field in order to get to the quarterback faster, try to make him make a bad decision.
I knew at the back away we were going to get 3 pushing through.
I knew we're going to have 3 coming up the middle or to the outside, right? So basically what he's saying is you're going to have extra defensive backs blitz. You're going to roll a double high. You're not going to have anybody vacate that area, meaning that Cooper Kupp knew that for the first couple of yards of his route, there was going to be nobody on him because he was on the side of the field the DB blitz from. He knew he was going to beat through that. And with the number of guys coming, they weren't going to replace somebody on his area, which means that
I had an opportunity to kind of run in there if I could beat my guy and just had to beat the safety to the end zone.
So there you go.
Touchdown.
Saying he had one guy outside there to beat, which is the guy playing corner on that side on the far back on the fake nickel look. He knew if I run across that zone where there's nobody yet, get up under the safety, if I can beat that safety one-on-one, it's a touchdown. That's exactly what happened. Now, that being said, good Lord, Cooper, it's TV. Settle down. Yeah, one guy blitzed. They left my side of the field open. I knew if I beat the safety, I score.
See, this reminds me of back in the day when there was a problem in the studio and I went to talk to the head engineer, Jerry Massey, and he would immediately go into engineering speak when he had no idea what was actually wrong. Just all these engineering terms and everything. So I went that way and then turned.
Effectively, yeah. Effectively, what he meant was I realized that the defender on my side of what was disguised as a 3-deep look was going to blitz. They didn't have a replacement for him on the outside, so knew I was going to get 5 or 7 yards before I got guarded up. And I recognized that when I cleared through that area of the zone, I was going to end up having one safety to beat. And if he got me the ball, if I beat one guy, I score. And that's what happened.
It also makes you wonder, does every player think this way when they're out there, or do some guys go, okay, I just got to go that way?
The good ones do. The good ones
I think there are some guys that are just so talented that that they don't have to think that way?
I don't know. I mean, look, you can be the best in the world, but if you can't read a coverage and know where the hole in the zone's going to be, right? You just end up running into where a defensive back is. You take yourself off the map. But if you can look out and see a 3-deep look with a fire off the outside, meaning the cornerback's coming in non-replacement, which means you don't see another DB shading into that zone, you know this area of the field is going to be open. And if you can see that and recognize, that is what makes Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, that's what makes them the best, right? Guys like Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers can probably think this way too, but Aaron Rodgers is the guy who uses his athleticism to get guys open. Brees, Manning, Brady, the guys that have done it the best of anybody ever, those guys, as soon as that play starts, they, boom, the part of the field where there's no B, it lights up for them. And they're just looking for who's going to get there.
I guess, and this is no surprise to most people, I guess I'm just a simple man, which is what most people think. I don't care how the sausage is made. The sausage just tastes good.
No,
That's all I care.
I agree with you. And that's why this answer, for those of us who really love the science behind football, right? For those of who loves the strategy involved in putting offenses and defenses together and chess matching them against each other, this answer is incredible to me, right? Because what other coaches and players are actually going to give you in football terminology what happened? Most guys are going to go, well, I recognize that my guy was on the blitz. There was an open spot. I just fell down into soft coverage. I knew I had to be the safety on a score, which is fine, right? And it's an answer that for the vast majority of football fans, they get.
It's also an answer that will get you no more interviews.
I disagree. You're probably right? Because if I'm a producer who does not know anything about football, and this answer right over the top of the head, I'm probably looking at him and going, all right, football presented on television is presented for the very common fan. That's why Tony Romo is being so damn good in his role, because Romo explains the intricacies of the chess match. He explains the schematics. He explains the tactics, but he does so in a way that my mom can understand, who's not a football person. If I went to my mom and tried to tell her, what's the difference between a single high safety, cover 2, cover 3? She would not be able to tell me, right? And I'd suspect the vast majority of people listening wouldn't be able to tell me, and that's 100% okay, right? You don't have to know the intricacies of something to enjoy it. But television is presented to keep my mom interested. It's presented to keep Joe Average interested. Maybe the guy who doesn't know what a 3-high fire non-replacement's going to be. He doesn't know that, but he knows if Cooper Kupp says, the guy on my side was going to blitz, he left that zone open, I skirted through it, I had one man to beat the safety touchdown. He gets that. But if you're a football dork, me, I listened to that answer, and I was like, that's fantastic. I love that. Because you got a bit of exposure into the mind of a football mind, right? John Gruden used to take crap when he was in the booth for Monday Night Football, because he tried to do what Romo did, but he couldn't turn off the football side of it. He couldn't turn off the coach side of it. So, it's Spider 2Y banana matched up with the nickel double blitz off Fire Dog off the outside. People are like, what the hell? The only thing that saved Gruden is that he could draw yellow circles and arrows on the screen to point out what he was saying, but he didn't really explain it. Tony Romo, on the other hand, doesn't really get into the vernacular of football, but he breaks it down for you, right? He didn't really get into the vernacular of what Cooper said here, but he draws a circle and he goes, all right, when this guy comes up, ordinarily what you're going to see is that this linebacker is going to slide over to replace him in the zone. They're going to give up a little bit of the middle of the field, have these two linebackers slide over. This cornerback on this side is going to step up where it looks like you got 3 DBs up top. This guy's going to roll up. These two are going to drop back. And effectively, you're disguising a cover 2 as a cover 3 until the play starts. And you're hoping you can get to the quarterback before he recognizes that the seam's open. But he says it in a really common language that's understandable by everybody. Cooper here just went full film room as if everybody knows what he's talking about. It does not make for great television if you are trying to get the eyeballs of people who just want to enjoy football, who are going to appreciate, well, the corner blitz, there was nobody in my zone, so I just ran through it, which is fine. That's all Cooper said. Quarterback blitzed. There was a hole in the defense on my side of the field. I ran through it. I had one-on-one. I beat him for a touchdown. But he gave it to me in a foot, and I Loved it. I loved that answer. And it was so good. I think that's part of the reason that the Manning cast has picked up so much steam, right? Part of the reason the Manning cast has picked up so much steam is very simply because Peyton and Eli are good football minds, right? They're good football minds. They know the game. They know the X's and O's. They know how it all shapes up. But also, you know what else they are? Two brothers with famous friends watching the game together, right? When you watch Monday Night Football and you watch the guys in the booth, all they do is call the game, which is fine. They'll give you some intricacies, which is fine. The Manning brothers are breaking the game down, but they're doing it the same way that it sounds like in my living room when me and the boys get together to pop a cold one and watch the game, right? They talk to each other and they talk to us the way that me and Joe and Andrew and John get together and watch the game and talk to each other about what we're saying. It's no, all right, here comes Henry off to the right side, gets through, there's a little hole there, he busts to the seam, 10-15. Cool, that's fine. And I guess and this is from somebody who wants to do play-by-play, right? Like, that's my goal. I told you earlier. My goal is to be a world-famous play-by-play guy who does every sport. That's why I love every sport. But I will also acknowledge that unless you are just the most casual of fan, I don't need Joe Tessitore to tell me Alvin Kamara off the edge for 6 yards, tackle made by number 27. Yeah, I can see that. It's on TV. That's why I'm watching. It's great in radio. It's exactly what you got to do in radio. Smith drops back into the pocket, splits left, trends right, pistol formation. Defense lined up in a 4-3, double high safety. Here's the snap. Running back fit. You know what I mean? Like in radio, it's great, not on TV.
But there are a lot of people who have never, their first experience going to an actual game and they hear nothing. And it just doesn't feel right. And it takes away from the game because they're so used to hearing someone explain what's going on while it's happening.
I agree with that. You know, and that's, you know, it makes sense if you're a super casual fan. That's why most of us don't go to live football games that aren't our football team, right? That's a good chunk of the reason. You're not invested, and on top of that, it's not as comfortable. On top of that, if you're a casual fan, you know what's going on. And that's cool. Or at least not the intricacies, right? You see it's a run, you see it's a tackle, you see it's a 6-yard game. But that's really it. I love Romo, I love the Mannings and the Manning cast, and I love Cooper Kupp for 3 different reasons. Romo, because he really gets into the detail, but he does it in a very simplified language. He doesn't go overboard with the technical terms of football. The Mannings, because they're just bros on a couch talking junk at each other and not just breaking down the game, but breaking it down from a very unique standpoint, right? It's very, very unique that you're going to get 2 Hall of Famers or 1 Hall of Famer and Eli who are going to sit down together and rib each other, rib their guest, tell some jokes, but also break the game down. And I love Cooper Kupp because he was like, hey, if you don't understand it, that's on you. This is what happened. And as a football dude, loved every second of it. Loved every second of it. It was incredible. It was so well done. So well done. All right, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. What's the best style of presentation for game for you? Like if you're going to sit down and watch a football game, do you want the Tessitore, Reddick, just kind of like, here's what's happening on the field, maybe just the littlest bit of breakdown? Do you want that? Do you want Romo, who's like explaining what's happening, but in a very common way? Or do you prefer somebody who's like X's and O's, using the language, using the jargon of a football coach? What's your favorite style of game? Would you put Cooper Kupp in a booth to call a football game like that? Do you prefer the Manning cast, or do you just want traditional, color guy, play-by-play guy, tell me what's happening on the field and that's it? Which one of those is your style? 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. Let's take a break. We'll come back. I got some audio from Matt Rule about the firing of Joe Brady. We'll get that to you next on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
QC.
Friends of QC Kinetics want you to know that if you are suffering from joint pain, whether it's in your knees, your ankles, your lower back, your hips, your spine, your neck, your fingers, your wrists, it doesn't matter. If you are suffering from joint pain because that connective tissue in your joints has just, worn out and isn't replacing itself like it used to, that you can get better, feel healthy, and not have to deal with either the pain or the fear of that pain by calling them. And you can do it without surgery, without drugs, without steroids, without downtime. Go to their website, qckinetics.com, 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 and you can learn how this non-surgical regenerative therapy works. It replaces and restores the connective tissue in your joints, and it spurs on your body. It accelerates that natural healing process. So your body used to do when you were younger to replace that connective tissue so the inflammation goes away, so the swelling goes away, so the pain goes away. No knives, no poking and prodding. You get the therapy. You're back to your day-to-day life on the same day. You want to learn more? Again, go to the website at qckinetics.com, qckinetics.com, or give them a call at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that first consultation for free and feel better, faster, naturally with our friends at QC Kinetics.
The Panthers are designating offensive tackle Cameron Irving to return from IR. He's been on IR since November 8th with a calf injury, so this opens up a 21-day window when he is able to practice. You have to activate him to the 53-man roster within those 21 days, or his season will come to an end. Panthers get ready to play host to Atlanta coming up on Sunday. Download the Score app today, lightning fast sports alerts, so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
University basketball, Bon Secours Wellness Arena in downtown Greenville. Where the 8th February 5th and 5th, 1940.
I just want to say, you proved the point. Cooper Kupp just slowed the show just completely down. What are you doing? Oh!
Streak is dead.
I didn't even know I could do that. The part of the trash can that's against the wall,
Yeah.
it hit that and bounced off.
Yeah, it's unforgiving. Oh, couldn't get the bounce.
Because I was holding something in my left.
That's what it was. 3 off balance. I got it. There it is. 1 for 3.
Told you. I thought I needed to go take care of something over there, and it turns out that somebody actually showed up, so we're good. Someone had to go to court, and they got let off. So, traffic violation. So, they're actually here.
Nice.
Train somebody else. So now I don't have to worry about it. So, it's suddenly a normal day. Unless we get a last moment of no Jeep showing up, we're good. See, I just have a bad name to do this with. That's the problem. But also the wrestling thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, O's are actually tougher than I thought they were.
By the way, I've covered the Z on both of them.
Yeah?
Yes. And the L.
Current or all
I got both.
You got both?
Yeah. Actually, no, I don't. Current. I put something on current that's not current. But I'll get that. See, the only O I can think of right now is Oni Lorcan, and I'm not putting him in there because I don't like him.
I don't like Lonnie Orkin. I love both of those guys.
They're so vanilla. They're bald and vanilla.
No, I love.
You could throw somebody else in there and say they're Oni Lorcan. You'd throw somebody in there, say they're Oni Lorcan, and you'd be like, okay, that's Oni Lorcan. So after the show, we really need to discuss if we are going to try to do that Friday thing.
Say that again?
The Friday wrestling
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Because we can look into tickets and stuff.
Yeah. No, I absolutely want to go.
Because again, I'm willing to go if you want to go.
Yeah, 100% I want to go. I'm going to need to put in our request for the Raw tickets early, too.
Yeah, because I need you to show me how to do that.
I've got like Kevin and Haley want to come with us. The dude Roshan Joswolf that we have from the hockey team, he got my phone number from Shelly.
He really did.
Mark
Okay.
Shelley. He was like, tell Rob I want to go. Like I'm holding him to that.
Well, I mean, I can request extra.
Yeah.
Just in case you can't get that amount.
Yeah.
And then I can,
Well, I'm assuming
family.
one or more of your family.
Yeah, because they usually go.
Yeah. And like Courtney's dad and brother want to go with us.
We usually get a fairly nice amount, and there's a section
My
of
request to Roy is going to be all of them that you have. That's
Well,
what I need.
there's usually a section of just radio people.
Yeah.
So, and if the tickets are where they always are, they're really good seats, like 4 or 5 rows up in the bottom, like on they're really good. Not the entrance is like, well, anyway, I think I may have pictures I can show you, but we always end up basically in the same spot. Need to try to get a guest.
Yeah, we do. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Clip 1, Matt Rule had a press conference yesterday and for the first time spoke out about relieving the young Joe Brady of his duties at offensive court. I hate that expression, relieve them of the relieve means relief doesn't have to be something that is willing. Like you can relieve someone of their possessions and it just means you take it from them. I still don't like the way it sounds. Anyway, here's Matt Rule on firing Joe Brady.
You know, I think I told you guys I felt it was appropriate to take some time during the beat week, go back, really think about where we are in the process, what we need to do, go back and watch the tape, watch the practices, and make a clear-headed decision. Planned on meeting with Joe on Saturday. He wasn't available Saturday, so I sat down with Joe yesterday. On Sunday, informed him that I was going to go in a different direction, that I was going to, relieve him of his duties as offensive coordinator. Joe's an unbelievable person, excellent young coach, and a consummate professional, to be quite honest with you. He shook my hand, thanked me, ended with a hug, and I wished him the best. And I'm very grateful for his time here. He's done a lot to get us moving in the right direction, but this was something that I felt like from a football perspective, we needed to do now.
So that is Matt Rule saying that he's moving on from Joe Brady. Does anybody else feel like this is just a desperation move from Matt Rule to stave off? Because Dave Tepper, we've talked about this. You want to talk about a guy that Dave Tepper is that guy that like meets a girl and after date number 1, he's like, I'm going to marry her. I love her. She's incredible, right? Like he falls in and out of, he did it with Darnold. He did it with Bridgewater. I frankly think he's done it with Rule. He did it with Brady, right? Like I think the dude falls in and out of love really, really quickly. But when he decides that he is out of love with you, you're gone, dude. And he doesn't care what it costs to make it happen.
Well, in his defense, as far as Joe Brady goes, everybody wanted Joe Brady. So that was not, I mean, that was not a surprise. Yeah. I mean, so that was not a shock that they hired him, and everyone thought that was a good hire also. I do believe it's a desperation move, or as I'm sitting there thinking, it could be another move. Could be either Tepper or Rule told him, you're going to make these changes to the offense, as in running the ball and things, and he didn't do it. And I know that shouldn't rule him while he's out there on the field, but only to a certain degree. what if they told Joe Brady, here's the direction we're moving in, and he said, oh yeah, we'll do this, and then he didn't do it?
I think that's possible. Remember, because after the loss to who was it? New York. After the loss to New York, I think New York, Matt Rule came out. He said, "Hey, we're about to change the identity of this football team. Right? We're about to start running." Now, here's the thing. I think they were committed to that, and they did it. Next week, they ran the ball like 44 times, smoked Atlanta. Of course, Atlanta's not good, but they did it. And then the very next week, it was what, Philly, I think, after that. I'm doing this off the top of my head because I'm lazy and didn't pull up the schedule, but you get what I'm saying. Came back out, didn't do it, lost the game. Next game, they threw like 44 times and ran. What was the one game? They had one game where they had 5 rushes out of McCaffrey, 1 rush out of Abdullah, 10 rushes out of Cam, 5 of which were just QB scrambles that he went past the line of scrimmage, 0 rushes out of Chuba Hubbard, right? They had like 11, 12 total rushes, 15 if you include Cam's actual, like if you include both design runs for Cam and scrambles that he took off running with, right? Which were not run plays. He just ran with it. I think they got to the point where they realized, hey, our offensive line is not good. And it's really hard to focus on the power run game when you can't block anybody. Does make it a little more difficult to run the ball when your offensive line is getting absolutely annihilated in the trenches. And I think there's a possibility, my speculation is that Joe Brady tried to change to a power run game, recognized the offensive line is awful and can't block. And if you can't block, you can't run. It's really, really simple formula. And Joe Brady basically said, all right, we can't run block, so our best option is quick hits, slants, inside routes, stop and goes. Just quick throw. That's what we do now.
But back to the first thing we were speculating on, that this is a desperation move. You do this now because of who you're playing next, who you were able to run all over the first time you played them in Atlanta. So then you come out and you do it again. And then what? Until the following.
And I guess that's what I'm saying. To me, it kind of feels like Matt Rule is on a short leash now, right? Because we're in year 2 of the rebuild. And granted, I put a lot of the fault on David Tepper too, because they built this team. McCaffrey has a nightmare.
I was going to say, you could also put some of the blame on McCaffrey not being able to stay healthy.
Well, again, I mean, I'm not going to fault the guy for being unable to stay healthy. It's not like he's in control of that.
But at the same time, he was too much of a focal point for the offense.
Again, I can't fault McCaffrey for that. He's that good, and the team decided that was the way to go. What I can fault somebody for is I can fault David Tepper for giving Christian McCaffrey a 10-year, $6 billion contract that is tied up.
Exaggeration.
Slightly. I can fault them for giving this one guy, a contract that is effectively tied up the ability of the team to add anybody else down the line, right? That's on Tepper. But Matt Rule is on a very short leash, and that is painfully obvious at this point. And he's in desperation mode because, and I'll ask Rashad Beard this on Thursday, we all know what needs to be added for this team to be good next year, right? We know they have to revamp the offensive line. We know that for a fact. Draft, free agency, trades, all of it. Got to revamp the offensive line. Christian McCaffrey, because of his injuries, I believe we're at what? We're at, he has played 10 of the last 35 games. One more game, the dude has effectively gone 2 seasons and played 10 games total, right? Because of the contract combined with the injury issues, Christian McCaffrey is going to be almost untradeable, right? I saw a Carolina podcast the other day from a cat who said, go ahead and prepare yourself. Christian McCaffrey is absolutely trade bait. And I agree with you. You ever gone fishing before? You ever thrown bait in the water? Sometimes nothing bites because your bait's not good. He's trade bait. I agree. They might trade him for a starting offensive line. But if you're the GM of the team,
entire line or just a line?
The whole line.
Okay.
If he's healthy,
no,
he's worth an offensive line. Problem is, he, Ain't. So if you're the GM of another team, are you touching McCaffrey's contract? Hell to the no. You absolutely ain't, man. You're not touching it. So now you got an untradeable running back that you're paying half your salary cap to every year to not play. You got Sam Darnold, the contract he has. Somebody might pick Darnold up, right? There might be one more team that takes a flyer on Sam Darnold. They go, hey, maybe it is Matt Rule. Maybe Sam Darnold just didn't fit in with the Panthers. We'll give him one more shot. Maybe you can trade for him. But you're still going to owe him some money when he goes. So you got that wrapped up. By the way, I think you're paying Teddy Bridgewater $7 million this year to not play for your team. Right? The money's wrapped up. There's nothing you can do. It's David Tepper's going to have to be an absolute wizard to figure this out before next year. And Matt Rule's on a short leash. Matt Rule firing Joe Brady was a desperation move because what it allows him to do is go in front of the podium and go, hey, I know the offense sucks. I know we lost some teams we shouldn't lose to. I know that after 3-0 start, you all were thinking playoffs and then we just absolutely tanked. But the offense is Brad because Joe Brady, and that's why he's not here anymore. Forgive me, Matt Rule, head coach. Right? It gives him an out. It gives him a place. By firing Joe Brady, it gives him a place to place the blame. It gives him a place that he can say, no, wasn't my fault. It was Joe Brady's fault. Now I'm going to start. The thing is, though.
I was going to say, what if that's it? What if that's true?
Great. Then Matt Rule's got a spot, got a direction to go, right? Then Matt Rule's got a direction to go.
I know that's an optimistic view, but
100%.
What if it's true? What I get, but you can't judge it by if they come out and they beat Atlanta again. It's the rest of the schedule is brutal.
Yeah, you got Atlanta and you got New Orleans. Those are the two outs you have. You got Buffalo, you got Tampa Bay twice. It's not easy the rest of the road.
And whether you want to talk about it or not, they're still in the playoff hunt.
I mean, they are, but they're not.
Because that last spot, no one seems to want it.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a ton of 5 and 7 teams that are still in the hunt.
But there are teams that are trending up, as Joe Giglio pointed out. The Washington football team is trending up. The Eagles trending up to some degree. Minnesota's dropping out. But, and again, I don't think it's going to matter. Maybe this is me being a homer, though I don't think I am. If the New Orleans Saints ever find a way to get freaking healthy, the Saints, if they get healthy, they get Kamara back, they get Cam Jordan back, they get Deontay back. Right? Even with Taysom Hill, just because of the defense, if they can get healthy, I think the Saints can beat the Panthers right now. That's how bad the offense is for Carolina. This was a move that Matt Rule took to be able to say it's all Joe Brady's fault. I wanted to. I can go back and show you. I said I want to change the identity of this football team, and Joe Brady failed to do that. That's why he's fired. But now it's on Matt Rule. He does not have another desperation. He has no more cards up his sleeve to play. If he loses now, he loses. And remember, as I pointed out, with Bridgewater, with Darnold, with Brady, Tepper's a guy that when he does not believe you're the guy anymore, he'll fire you. And he does not care what it costs, right? He doesn't care what it costs. He'll string that money out as long as he needs to make it happen. I don't think Matt Rule's out this year. What I will say is, if Matt Rule wants to go back to college, now's a really good time to do it. Seriously. End of this season is or mid-season. Pull a Bobby Petrino, slap a copy-pasted note on every locker and disappear into the thin of the night. If Matt Rule wants to go back to college, now's a really good time to do it. Because not only is he not doing a great job, he is now out of cards up his sleeves as a desperation move to give himself an out with Joe Brady being let go. He's not going to let go of Snow, the DC, because he's doing an okay job. Not great, but okay. And Tepper will fire him. Now, maybe he just wants to ride it out and get himself the buyout money and then go to college. I don't know. But if he wants out, if I'm him, I'll jump out now. And if I'm Tepper, I am considering, not making the move, considering relieving Matt Rule of his duties at the end of the year. He is, Lonzo, this close to being a failed experiment because it's not getting better. It's not entirely his fault. Not entirely his fault. But he's this close to being a failed experiment. If I'm him, I'm looking at these college jobs that are open, of which there's not many left, and thinking, maybe I make the jump back, because colleges are going to give him a $100 million contract.
Who lasts longer in the NFL, Urban Meyer or Matt Rule?
At this point, I got to say it's Urban Meyer, right? He's got a much longer leash. Matt Rule's leash has run out. If you'd have asked me when they both got in at the same time, I'd have probably said Matt Rule. But Jacksonville, despite losses, they're showing some fight, right? I'll give them that. They'll show them some fight. And for the most part, they seem to be keeping it all on the football field, which is different from other places Urban's been. That's a good joke. You should laugh. It's a good joke.
Well, now they are.
Yeah, it's a good joke.
After the last one, things just kind of cleared up.
Look, Matt Rule, as of right now, I'm not saying it'll stay this way. I'm saying right now it looks like a failed experiment, and I'm saying that the Carolina Panthers have not done anything to help him. You have tanked your salary cap with the McCaffrey contract, which is now a nightmare contract, despite how good he is when he's healthy, which is rare, right? You got a Robbie Anderson, who was supposed to be one of the breakout receivers in the league this year, who's catching a ball a game. Your quarterback room's in shreds. Your offensive line's a joke. And the defense, which was supposed to carry you this year, has given up 33 points to Miami. I'm not saying it's a failed experiment, but I'm saying between the Panthers having some mismanagement and Matt Rule not being able to get his guys on the same page, it certainly looks that way now. Texas says Rule firing Brady is Dabo firing Billy Napier. It's the last move he can make before he gets himself fired. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. This was the last ace up the sleeve of Matt Rule. He has bought himself probably the rest of this season to figure something out. Or he's gone. Back to college he goes. 844-GSP, ESPN, Texas on the Ingles Market text line 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read it on the air. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
So I put the blind down and the sun goes down. That's just not. Let's see if it works the opposite. Clouds weren't there 10 minutes ago.
Keep your family or business warm this winter and give Priority Heating and Air a call today at 591-1847 or online at PriorityHeatingandAirHVAC.com.
Tis the season for one Upstate Holiday Light Show. Where's that at Greenville Pickens Speedway? Millions of incredible lights, a kids' light zone, 600-foot light tunnel, even a drive-through petting zoo. Do we need tickets? Sure, but fast passes are available. Just sign up online. Plus, it gets the hubby into the holiday spirit, so we're not doing that last minute thing. Where do I score some tickets? Just go to upstatelights.com. Let's all go together.
So there are actually some story missions to go along with fishing.
Yeah? Yeah, I found one in Rifton. There's a dude who's like, you got to bring me back like these 6 fish and I'll pay you for it.
Well, there's a girl outside. If you would have talked to her, she will also give you a bounty.
Got that too.
Did you? Did you open it up?
Was it the mud crab one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it show up on your map? Didn't on mine.
Oh, really?
None of those are.
No, I lied. You get that. You have to go to another lady and convince her to give you she gives you the note about the bounty, but then you have to take it to the lady's name who's on the bounty, and she gives you the bounty. She's like, okay, I sent somebody else for this, but they haven't come back.
Okay.
So this is your bounty.
Is she
now,
in
and
the
then
same
it shows up.
place? Is she in Rifton? or is
Yes,
she-
she's somewhere in Rifton, but I don't remember where.
Okay,
I
well-
think. This was a week and a half ago I did this.
Well, I'll go back. I'll go back there and do that. With my new build, I'm able to get through things a lot quicker. I did the. I say it's a lot quicker, but I was still on there a few hours last night while I was watching football. I did the companions the entire thing last night.
Huge Icon Award winner. Johnson. Hosted by me, Keenan Thompson, the People's Choice Awards.
But I also took a risk and went back and got Spyball Castle, which is still the best castle ever created mod-wise, and it hasn't crashed on me. Whoever did it, they put so much work into it. It actually has a forge room with all the different kinds, and you can even send guys on missions to bring you back materials.
Oh, really?
From Solstheim and from Skyrim. And it has a lair room, and you go down into the lair room, and just about any creature you can think of is down there. You can bring them as a pet.
Wow.
It's amazing. There is a flaming dog, a flaming wolf, and I had him for a long time, but when they die, if they die, they don't come back. I was so disappointed in that, because the one thing about having a flaming dog or wolf, you can't mistake something else for that and accidentally hit it.
Yep.
I mean, it's obvious that's your on fire thing. About Harley in the last break.
If so, you may want to ask them how easy it was to bundle with Geico. Bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
Speed towards the end of the show here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Real quick note to the NBA. NBA has a bit of an image problem, right? Like I think it seems to be the most, polarizing of the major leagues, right? Like when I talk about MLS, there's a lot of people who go, I don't really like soccer, but they don't hate the MLS, right? They don't dislike the MLS. When I talk about baseball, there's a lot of people who go, I don't care about baseball. I don't watch baseball, but they don't necessarily hate MLB. And that's shocking considering the amount of stuff that MLB has gone through recently. But when I talk NBA, Lonzo, there's a lot of people who want to make real good sure that you know that they actively dislike the NBA. And there's a lot of reasons behind it. Some just don't like basketball. Some just don't like the attitude of the players. It's a very broad brush just to paint with, but I get it. Some of them don't like that the NBA, they feel like the NBA has gotten too political. That's all well and good. Whatever your reasons are, it seems like the NBA, more than any other sport, people want to make sure that you know that they don't like it. Like I actively dislike the NBA.
I have soured on the NBA, but I've soured on one person, and they're on the screen right now, and who I've followed forever.
Kendrick Perkins?
Yes, absolutely.
You hate Kendrick Perkins?
Yeah, because he put on too much weight, and he looks too good at that size, and it's unfair.
It's the beard.
Yeah, it is. It might be the beard.
You're gonna be that big, you gotta have a beard.
Yeah, true. And he looks so angry, but he's not.
He's a really nice guy from what I've heard.
Yeah. So
From what I've heard.
No, I'm soured on the NBA because of LeBron and all the politics. And I want to say, I'm not against the NBA. My fandom is for sale right now. That's. I just want to put that out there. And I'm leaning towards Zion.
Okay.
Not because of you.
As Keegan called him, Zion, will you pass me another plate and son?
All right, so I'm leaning between Zion and Luka.
Which is hilarious because I'm losing my love for Zion right now.
Are you?
Oh yeah.
Zion or Luka?
Get your ass in shape, Zion.
And I really like Luka.
I love Luka.
Yeah.
Luka's my dude right now. I love Luka. There's a lot of you play. Trey, I love Ice Trey too. Love Ice Trey.
But I think there are a lot of people who are NBA fans of players, and players can turn you off quicker than an entire team can.
Hey, look, like we talked about this yesterday, right? Separating artists from art, right? Like if a guy wants to get political, or hate it, I don't care.
Up until lately, I was able to do that, but
Yeah.
there are just some things that it's too far from me.
Sure.
But I love the game. I need to find another person to root for.
Sure, I get it.
It started out with Michael. It went to Shaq. Then it went to LeBron. It's time for me to move on.
That being said, Phoenix Suns are under investigation because Robert Sarver, Robert Sarver is effectively accused of having a toxic workplace. And so the New York-based law firm leading the NBA's investigation into the workplace culture of the Phoenix Suns has begun scheduling and conducting in-person interviews of current and former team employees, but it's unclear whether those who have signed non-disclosure agreements will be able to speak freely to investigators. According to ESPN, the Suns organization and the NBA each declined to answer questions from ESPN about whether the former employees will be released from their confidentiality agreements in order to avoid potential legal penalties if they speak to investigators. A spokesperson said the organization is, quote, fully cooperating with the investigation, end quote, but declined to answer questions about the NDA release, citing the ongoing investigation. NBA spokesperson Mike Bass also declined to answer the question, saying, quote, it would be irregular to detail the methods of an investigation while it is ongoing, as doing so could potentially prejudice or otherwise jeopardize the integrity of the investigation, end quote. He went on to say that all those participating will be assured the process will be fair and impartial. Well, one former Suns employee told ESPN they remain uncertain about whether they can speak freely about their experiences in Phoenix, saying that, quote, they would be happy to speak, end quote, with investigators if they are assured they will not face legal consequences. The employee is hopeful that, quote, the NBA would have my back, right? So what these people are saying is that they want to speak to the investigators. They want to be open about what happened in Phoenix, but they're concerned that if they do, the Phoenix Suns might crack back down on them for saying some things that might violate the NDA they signed when they became employees, and that the NBA would let it happen. Let me make this really clear to the NBA. All right? Speaking directly to you, Adam. Check it, Adam. Big-time fan of the show.
Wait, you can't come at him because he's the most beloved commissioner in all of sports.
Hey, beloved people make mistakes too. All right? I actually don't hate Adam Silver. Of the commissioners, he's probably the only one that I could sit down at a room and have a beer and not just be like, dude, I want to hit you in the face so bad. I want to hit you so bad. Right? But even he can, every beloved person can still have flaws. We know that. This is a really simple thing for the NBA to do. Just tell the Phoenix Suns, you're not going after any people who speak to an investigator. They're not asking to go on 60 Minutes and do full-blown interviews. They just want to talk to the investigators openly. The NBA is going to protect it because if they do and they reveal some stuff that makes the Phoenix Suns look like a terrible place to work, the NBA comes under fire, just like the NFL's under fire for what's going on under Dan Snyder. And they don't want that.
I think a lot of people, if you work in a place that might be a national company or something, you've had those surveys that they ask you to comment about how things are. And every time you hesitate.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, they say this is anonymous. I don't believe that.
Even if they promise anonymity, there's still a part of me that's like, IP addresses are real, dog. I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, even back in the day, because I'm ancient, there was
back when you guys had to chisel them on the rock tablets.
Yeah, well,
elevated feeling in that direction, right? Like they can tell you anonymity when you fill out these surveys, but right? All it's going to take is one manager to look and go, that's Zoe's handwriting. And he just said that I'm blank, 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 blank. Screw that guy, right? And that's a possibility. And that's what these employees are saying. We want to talk to the investigators. We want to tell them what's going on, but we know that if we even accidentally violate the NDAs that we signed as a condition for employment, the Suns can crack down and potentially sue us for damages, right? For like lots of money, because the NBA is not going to come sue you for $1,000. They're coming after you big time, dog. So they're looking at the NBA and going, hey, if you guys will promise us that the Phoenix Suns won't or can't come after us, we're happy to do it. But otherwise, we're not. It's doing more damage that they're coming out and saying, we are not going to talk because we're afraid the NBA is going to crack down. And the NBA is doing it to protect themselves from falling into a similar place that the NFL is in with Dan Snyder and the Washington football team right now. They don't want to go down that path because the NFL is still taking heat about how this is allowed to happen. And they don't want to do that. And that's cool, except for you're just making it worse.
Aren't teams kind of in a way like national and states that they kind of have their own state and certain things are just about them?
Yeah, 100%. But this is an NBA investigation. Right?
Okay.
The NBA hired these people to conduct this. This is not the Suns investigating themselves. The NBA hired this law firm to run the investigation. And the investigation's going on. Maybe the NBA will have more to say after the investigation concludes in a year or 2 years or whatever it's going to be. But the reason the Suns aren't doing anything is because they are the ones being investigated by the NBA. The reason the NBA is not doing anything, maybe it's because they want it. But here's the problem. As long as you have former employees, the ones that were there in the building, that have these NDAs and they're going, we're not going to say anything to the investigators because we feel like the Suns are going to bring down the fire on us if we do, then you are telling me your investigation will not get to the details because the people who have them won't talk out of fear. And until the NBA steps in and goes, you know what? We, as the overreaching authority here, are going to dissolve those NDAs so there's no legal ramifications for being honest and open with the investigators. If the NBA won't do that, you look like you are covering it up, just like the Suns, just like the NFL and the Washington football team. Don't do that. How much would the image be enhanced if they just went, no ramifications, speak to the investigators? They look so much better. It's not that hard. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate. Harley-Davidson of Greenville wants you to be able to live the Harley-Davidson lifestyle. And I don't just mean riding a motorcycle, right? I'm talking about riding on the back of a piece of Americana, one of the most trusted, consistent brands in American history. When you think American-made muscle motorcycles, you think Harley-Davidson. But here's the thing. Harley makes the entire range of motorcycles. What are you looking for? Are you a brand new rider who just wants to learn? Well, they got the Riders Academy. You can head on down, talk to them. They are going to teach you how to ride. You'll take some classroom time. You'll get on the back of a Sportster. They will learn you how to ride a motorcycle. Are you looking to just zip around downtown? Maybe you're looking to save a little bit of gas. Well, they got the Cafe Cruisers for you, little Sportster-style bikes. They got them in whatever size and firepower you want. Maybe like me. You like having some dadgum metal under you, right? You want a big boy. They got the fat boys. They got the hogs. You got those big rumble machines. You can jump on the back of the motor and be on a cruiser, right? They got cruisers for you, too. Maybe you're looking for long rides. You want to go up and down the Blue Ridge and back and forth. They got those for you, too. Whatever your dream ride is, when you look in your mind and you see the perfect motorcycle for you, Harley-Davidson either has an inventory, they can help get it for you with the largest pre-owned inventory in the entire upstate. Go see my friends at Harley-Davidson of Greenville at 30 Chrome Drive, or check them out online at upstateharley.com. See the entire inventory, all the bells and whistles there for you. Help them get you on the bike of your dreams and living that Harley lifestyle with Harley-Davidson of Greenville. We're coming back with like 20 seconds, huh?
Nah, a little more than that. Hey, there's G. Cool.
The Upstate Holiday Light Show is going on now at Greenville Pickens Speedway. Drive through a nighttime promise wonderland as 32 million colors set the sky ablaze, synchronized with the first of our favorite holiday classics. Upstate.com.
I had the Venables audio, but I don't think I'm going to play it. It's kind of boring.
625, 725, 825. We'll have time for one.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you what it is.
What is it?
I don't like doing that. Look up Angry Liv Morgan Girl.
Remember?
Yes, it's reminiscent of.
That's
why
Yeah,
they're
okay.
and that was not unless that's an actress, definitely in the crowd because they focused in on it.
The best reactions are from kids.
Yeah.
The best reactions are from kids who are still in that
Yeah.
middle ground mindset. I haven't watched it. What did Becky do to retain?
Wait, we'll have a moment
Okay.
to talk about it, I guess. She cheated.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah. Ropes.
Okay.
It was a good match, though.
Was it?
Yeah.
Liv's good.
Yeah. And she's getting a really good push right now. But like a lot of things, you get a push and nothing comes from it.
Yeah.
Or you get a push and
She's
then
been
suddenly you're
getting pushes
squashed.
for 6 months and nothing's happened with it.
Yeah, well. You know, we've talked about all these people we'd love to interview from Raw, or a couple.
Becky Lynch, number one.
Yeah,
The man.
I might call in.
That's dramatic.
I was going to say Bianca Belair would be
Bianca be cool.
Would be a lot of fun. So would her husband and his tag team partner would be a lot of fun.
Who? I don't. Sorry, I tuned out because there was a Dabo tweet and I was reading the angry replies.
What if we could get the smoke?
Oh, dude, I would throw it down with the Street Profits.
All right, just a moment for Twitter trending topics before we get up out of here. And Liv Morgan is trendy.
So we had an angry Ms. Girl 2.0 sighting after Becky Lynch cheated to retain her title. And Liv Morgan, who has been getting pushed and going absolutely nowhere with it, not her fault. They turned to the crowd.
She got a title shot. That's somewhere.
Yeah, but like she lost another one.
Don't
right?
be. I think she. They haven't announced it yet, but day one's coming up.
Yeah, we'll see.
Why not?
They turned to the crowd, and there was a very, very, very angry girl with. Remember, that was about the time that Miz started his rocket ride to the top.
Yep.
Do we have the next edition? We'll find out. Wrestling's good. All right, it's good. By the way, Mark Ryan made a wrestling reference on his show yesterday.
He makes all.
Speaking of Mark Ryan, he and Diesel are up next with Offside. Stay tuned for 4 hours of sports talk radio greatness. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. See you tomorrow back here on the Rob Brown Show. And ESPN Upstate. Later, brother.
ESPN Upstate, WIRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, WFBC FM HD3.
An Odyssey.
This is Sports Center.
Are you a stranger?